Hey guys. This is part 4 of What If Sarada went back in time and met Team 7. Hit like and subscribe if you like this one, and also please check the author in the description. Let's start. Chapter 12. It seems like an eternity before anyone can process what just happened. Naruto hits the ground several meters away, his cheeks scraping across the stone. The pain in his shoulder and chest roar like flames, and his lungs scream for air. Even as he struggles upright, one hand pressing against spurts of blood, his knees buckle. Still crouched by the water, Sakura's fingers clap tightly to her mouth. Shock, horror, and disbelief war for dominance over her face. So nice of you all to swarm here, the newcomer sneers, pointing bloody claws at Sarada. A pair of brass knuckles have been fused to the back of each hand, gangrenous around the seam. Especially you little bitch. I'll enjoy shredding you for sealing me into that cave-in. He shifts into a crouch, like a tiger preparing to spring. At the same time, Kakashi dashes away from the mouth of the other tunnel. Bull is at his heels, both of them intent on the man. But Kakashi is still weak and slower than normal. He won't make it in time. Sasuke would normally coordinate his movements with Kakashi's, flank him and provide another front of assault on the enemy, but he finds himself torn. Naruto lies severely wounded and bleeding nearby, still trying to stand. He's a clear target of attack, if the clawed man wasn't so focused on the girls, while Sasuke knows from even short experience that they can both defend themselves in a normal situation. This thing has a cursed seal spread across its body. With a snarl, the clawed man lunges at Sarada and Sakura. Sasuke is instantly in front of them. Sakura's jaw drops as he catches the downward swinging blade with his kunai. He reverses, kicking his foot upward in the initial movement of Sharingan. Before he can fully execute it though, the man vaults backwards and lands in a crouch, eyeing Sasuke warily. Your eyes, he murmurs, a touch of suspicion in his words. You're the Uchiha brat, aren't you? And if I am? Sasuke counters. Behind him, Sarada makes an inquiring noise. The man's ruined mouth pulls into a grin that is more of a grimace. Orochimaru spoke of you. He has plans for you, kid. Sasuke narrows his eyes. You know my name, but I don't know yours. It's only fitting I know who I'm about to kill. The man barks out a bitter laugh. I haven't had a name in years. But if you're so sentimental, you can call me Miumi, a fitting moniker, Kakashi says as he and Bull plant themselves beside Sasuke. He studies this newest opponent, trying to decide whether he has enough strength to deal with him. It'll be a close fight, but he can manage, as long as he's careful. Bull growls and snaps his jaws threateningly. That mark of yours seems to allow you to survive where normal humans wouldn't, Kakashi remarks. In a louder tone, he warns the kids, keep an eye out for others. Don't bother, Miumi sneers, lips widening over rotted teeth. The other bastards were all crushed. About the only favor you did me. I've been listening to those losers scream and cry for months. He chuckles. Their deaths were so satisfying once the door was open. I bet it'll be the same when I'm done with you. Sasuke clenches his fists, preparing to throw himself at the creature, but Kakashi stops him. Save your strength, he warns him quietly. There's a chance you'll need it. Sakura, Sarada. The girls straighten up at the sound of their names. Go help Naruto. I'm fine, he breathes through gritted teeth, still trying to get up. Sakura pushes him back down to the floor. Stop that. You're losing too much blood. If you don't stop moving I'll heal, Naruto slurs, rolling away from her before slumping forward. Pass out, Sakura finishes, color draining from her cheeks. Why aren't you healing? Something like this should be nothing for you. Sarada cries, her frightened expression reflecting what Sakura feels. For someone whose mother is a medic nin, your bedside manner sucks. She accuses the other girl. I've seen him impaled on a sword and he walked it off. So, excuse me for panicking. Sarada shoots back, turning desperate eyes on Naruto. How long will you need before you can fight? Naruto blinks in surprise. What do you mean, fight? Sakura demands. He can't. He can. She gazes at Naruto as if trying to ask a question without voicing it. Realization hits him. Obviously, Sarada knows more about him in the future than simply information about his family. She knows who he is and exactly what's inside of him. And instead of dislike or hatred in her eyes, right now she's looking at him like he's worthy of respect. In fact, since they've met, she's looked at him like that. Naruto decides that it doesn't matter if it's possible, or how long it'll take him. He will damn well get to his feet and protect his friends. As long as you can give me, he tells her, his voice slurring as darkness overtakes his vision. Now, He just needs to convince that damned fox. What was that all about? Sakura wants to know, but Sarada shakes her head. You said we have to stop the bleeding, right? Right. He might heal fast, but even Naruto can bleed out if we don't slow it down. There's no more time to waste with questions. The girls set to work peeling Naruto's jacket from his body and using it to stem the flow of the blood. Meanwhile, Kakashi, Sasuke, and Bull surround Miumi. In his team's diminished state, Kakashi isn't keen on fighting someone who obviously has no compunction about attacking a kid with his back turned. If there's a way out of this situation without having to exchange blows, he has to try. I'll make you a deal, he offers. You answer a few questions for us, and you can go. We won't have to kill you. Given the fact you injured my student, I'm letting you off easy, Miumi scoffs. What makes you think I have anything to say? You've been living as one of Orochimaru's experiments all this time. You've probably heard things. Tell us what you know. It's not like you owe him anything. Is that what you think? The man sniggers. I volunteered for this. He said I'd be stronger. And I am. As if to punctuate his point, he lashes out in the same instant that Bull leaps forward, spinning and kicking the dog across the room. The force of impact is such that the dog creates an indentation in the cave wall before collapsing with a pained whine. Kakashi's jaw clenches as his first plan fails. A fight is inevitable, it seems. He can't rely on his Sharingan. He's already weaker than he was, but this creature needs to be dealt with as soon as possible. Be ready to move when I tell you, he murmurs to Sasuke. Out of the corner of his eye, he notices his student nod, which is surprising. It has never come naturally to him, taking orders. Sasuke, however, knows of the precariousness of their situation. More than that, he knows that this thing intends to go after Sarada. Even if he isn't sure he even likes the girl right now, she is his future. She represents everything he's been fighting for since that awful night when he was 8. She will be, important to him. And it's the same for Sakura. So, he'll listen to Kakashi and do his best to protect them because they are his. The word is utterly foreign in his mind, family. When Kakashi takes a step forward, Sasuke keeps his eyes firmly on the enemy. He knows that the Jonin is not fighting in his prime today, and using the Sharingan anymore could be disastrous. Last chance, Kakashi directs at the marked creature. We've already dealt with one of Orochimaru's experiments. I figure being imprisoned somewhere with no chance of escape might be a worse fate than if I kill you, Miumi smirks. Even if you could send me wherever you sent that bastard, that was a nice trick, by the way. I figure you don't have the energy to pull it off again. Try me and see. I'll take my chances. Being trapped with him isn't the worst thing that could happen. You've got bigger problems than a half-crazed clone with an inferiority complex, things I only heard rumors about. A shadow passes over his face, and for a moment he seems uneasy. The expression disappears once again, replaced with the predatory look from before. Anyway. Bored now, and he bounds forward. Kakashi and Sasuke both dodge and land equidistant from the wild-eyed man. Sasuke's fingers crackle with electricity, but a tiny shift of Kakashi's head stops him. Common sense catches up. They're in a damp cavern where current might carry. He could end up harming them all to take out this one psychopath. Kakashi is already forming seals with his hands, and Sasuke's Sharingan allows him to perform them completely in sync with his sensei. Snake, ram, monkey, boar, horse, tiger. After summoning chakra into his chest, Sasuke expels a giant fireball, curving the flame around Miumi. Opposite him, Kakashi does the same, and their opponent is instantly surrounded by an inferno of skin-melting fire. Hopefully, it'll reduce the bastard to ashes. Somewhere behind him, he hears Sakura sniffling. She's still desperately fighting to save her teammate, and trying not to forget every bit of first aid training she's had. She can't help the worried tears streaming down her cheeks at the sight of Naruto. It's like the land of waves all over again. Only, instead of mourning the boy she's in love with, she's trying to keep the person who's become like family to her from dying. Sakura doesn't want to lose him, but she has no idea what to do. Sarada, up until now, the all-knowing, incredibly cool kunoichi, is becoming frantic with worry as well. No! No, 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 no! She hisses. You can't die. You can't die now. Do you hear me? You're supposed to be stronger than this. Come on. She presses the already saturated compress against his wounds. They're closing somehow, but not fast enough. Her eyes flash red as she glares down at Naruto, as if his injury is something offensive and unbelievable. Sakura is hit by the realization that the other girl is also watching someone she cares about die. Naruto is family to her in the future, Come on, Naruto, Sakura whispers, pressing harder against the wounds. You need to pull off another one of your miracles, which Naruto would love to do, really. He swims in and out of consciousness, trying his best to hold on to the two voices that are speaking to him. It's hard to focus past the overwhelming pain. He doesn't remember ever being hurt this bad. Of course, he's never really been hurt, but that's down to the Nine Tails. Yeah, it is. And you damn well better not forget it, growls a voice in his ear. In his delirium, Naruto hallucinates the familiar, dark, damp room which exists somewhere deep within him. Whether it's a real location or his subconscious, he's never really thought too much about. He doesn't like this place, even if it didn't have a fox demon locked within it, a fox demon who is now laughing at him. Hey, how about you shut up? Naruto snaps, glaring up at the thing and trying not to imagine its powerful jaws clamping around his entire body. We had a deal. I die, you die, remember? Maybe, the Nine Tails sneers. Or maybe, I think it's your turn to stew for a while. You obviously aren't going to die today. The Uchiha brat says you live. So relax. My friends are out there, possibly dying, and you want me to relax? Naruto yells. What the hell is wrong with you? I'm bored. I've been stuck in here too long. I need to stretch my legs. Yeah? Well, tough. I'm not letting you out of there, even if I knew how, obviously. But that doesn't mean I can't have some fun. There is a sickening kind of bloodlust in the demon's eyes. That guy out there. He's practically begging for it. The fox licks his lips and almost giggles. You know what he will do, right? He will tear up the Scarecrow Man and reduce the other Uchiha nuisance to ribbons. Shut up, and afterward he'll do the same to that girl you like so much. Which is probably for the best because she's useless. I'd eat her in a heartbeat, if I was free. Don't talk about Sakura that way. Why not? She doesn't care about you, the Nine Tails mocks. It's all down to Sasuke for her. She even said so. Even now that she knows she has no chance with him, have you seen the way she— Stop it, you really are stupid. No wonder your father trapped me inside you. Obviously, he had higher priorities than his own kid. Shut the hell up. I don't care about any of that. Naruto explodes. I just want to keep my friends safe. And if you running your mouth gets them killed, I swear I'm going to make the rest of my life all about making you miserable. Even if that means dying to make sure you die too. Now, are you going to help, or keep making stupid comments? The fox snarls in response. Well? Naruto prompts. Humph. Give him to me. Huh, give me the cretin who wounded us. Let me show him power doesn't come from some blemish on his neck. You let me have him, and I'll lend you enough power to heal. Then you can protect your weak, useless friends. Naruto doesn't reply right away, worrying that giving any kind of control to this creature might be exactly what it wants. You're not killing him, Naruto warns him. He could know something about the clone who caused this whole time travel mess. Hey, you want that fixed as much as we do? If it destroys the world, you're as screwed as the rest of us. The Nine Tails is mutinous, but finally huffs in disgusted surrender. Fine, it agrees. Then, as Naruto suddenly feels the overwhelming chakra take hold, the demon adds, he doesn't really need all of his limbs to survive, right? Naruto's eyes snap open. Sakura cries out in shocked surprise, watching in awe as the skin of Naruto's shoulder knits together. What? She whispers. It shouldn't be possible. Cellular regeneration is an ability she's only ever read of in medical treatises and mythology. A 13-year-old boy shouldn't be able to heal this fast. As Naruto's chakra changes, burning with a livid, bubbling power, an angry roar sounds from across the cavern. Within the wall of flame, a dark shadow appears, and a body vaults out of it. Miumi, skin singed and shiny with blisters, throws himself at Kakashi, shoving his claws into the Jonin's throat. Kakashi utters a strangled gurgle and disappears into a mess of sludge. Kawarimi, the clawed man curses, searching around for the real Kakashi. Given the fact he used mud, Sasuke suspects that his teacher has slipped underground, intending to attack from beneath. It's the same technique he used on Sasuke during the Bell test, one that doesn't need the Sharingan to be effective. Which means Sasuke simply needs to keep the enemy occupied. He sets to that task with vigor, charging forward and aiming a spinning kick at Miumi. He holds kunai in each hand and, as he lands, swipes downward. The enemy blocks them with his claws, kicking Sasuke back while their weapons are locked. One bladed fist swings forward, but Sasuke dodges a little too slowly. The tips of the claws rend part of Sasuke's shirt, nicking the flesh beneath. He bites back against the pain, landing in a crouch, but only long enough to regain his momentum. While Miumi straightens, Sasuke slices upward with his kunai. To avoid it, the clawed man throws himself backward, rolls around, and tries to stagger to his feet. But Sasuke is airborne, bringing his weapon down, only to miss once more. Frustration is mounting every time he fails, and Sasuke is tempted to call on the power of his own curse mark. If it'll help him catch up with this synthetic monster, as if sensing his thoughts, Kakashi makes his reappearance. Two hands shoot out of the ground, about to fasten around Miumi's ankles. Sasuke knows intimately what's about to happen and prepares himself to deliver a finishing attack to the creature's head once he's firmly ensconced in the ground. Except that's not what occurs. Instead of being dragged underground, Miumi snaps forward and shoves his hand into the dirt. The broken earth trembles, and Sasuke's heart plummets when the man straightens up and drags Kakashi out by hooking his entire bladed hand through his stomach. Kakashi coughs, blood staining his mask. Nice try, Miumi jeers. But my strength isn't the only thing this curse seal gives me. I can hear little rodents like you crawling around in the dirt. I've known exactly where you were this whole time. With a grunt, he lobs Kakashi across the room. The Jonin's lifeless body skids and rolls, leaving a trail of blood in his wake. Kakashi-sensei! Sakura screams. Sasuke is having a hard time processing the sight himself. Kakashi is the most talented shinobi he knows, but somehow, he's been bested by this creature bearing the curse seal. Somehow, Sasuke hadn't truly believed Kakashi when he said he'd been weakened by using the Kamui, but everything happening now suggests Sarada was right. There is a price to using the evolved form of the Sharingan, one that might very well be worse than the price of using a curse mark. Sasuke's neck twinges as Miumi turns to face him, disgusting features pulled into a triumphant smirk. One down, 4 to go. You up for it, kid? Sasuke's fists clench, and he bends his knees, preparing himself for the next assault. It never comes. There's flash of orange and yellow, and suddenly, Sasuke's view of the curse-marked creature is obscured by his teammate. If you touch any more of my friends, Naruto says, voice dripping with dark promise, I will tear you to shreds. The dangerous aura emanating off of Naruto is one that Sarada has never seen or felt before. Whenever she's witnessed Lord Seven tap into the chakra reserves of his demonic partner, it's bright, comforting, and powerful, like a warm flame. What radiates from him now is nothing like this. It's anger, pain, and hatred. It's making her sick just being within a few feet of it. Naruto throws himself forward, kicking the clawed man in the chest with both feet. Miumi flies backward with unnatural force, slides across the floor, and nearly skids over the drop. At the last second, he uses his claws as anchors, slowing down just as his head tips over the edge. His legs kick up over his head, and he rolls to his feet, baring his teeth in a vicious snarl. You think that impresses me? He growls. So, you're still standing. Big deal. Watch me cut your knees out from under you. He lunges at Naruto again, barreling headfirst into him and throwing him backward this time, right into the path of Sakura, who's trying to get to Kakashi. At the last moment, Sasuke appears in front of her, grabs Naruto, and redirects him. The blonde boy doesn't even seem to notice his teammate, and instead, launches himself back out at their opponent. Move it! Sasuke commands the girls, his eyes tracking Naruto's fight. How the hell is he doing this? He was sure he saw the creature shove its claws straight through Naruto, and there's no way Sakura or Sarada could have healed them that fast. Is there? What do you think we're trying to do? Sarada returns while Sakura drags Kakashi out of the direct line of combat. He gasps as her efforts tug at his wound, but there's no choice. Slowly, they manage to get farther out of the attack range, while Kakashi tries to keep his breathing steady. Sarada doesn't know if it's to block out the pain or keep his students calm, but she appreciates it, nonetheless. He squints at the ugly tears down his abdomen. Stomach wound, he pants, his mask almost completely saturated with red. Without a healer, half an hour. If I'm lucky, Kakashi-sensei, Sakura protests. If I don't make it, don't say that. You're going to be fine, Sakura. Kakashi cuts her off, a command in his tone. He has to take a moment to breathe, and then, with obvious exertion, ensures his orders are clear. If I don't make it, you're in charge. Her eyes widen and she squeaks, What? Based on both hers and Sasuke's faces, that's not something either of them expected him to say. Dead bull, he can find you a way out. Get away from that thing. Don't be stupid, Sarada cries. You're not going to die, and we're not leaving you here. Kakashi can't argue with her though, because that's when he passes out. Sarada curses and glares at Sasuke. So, still think having a Mangekyo Sharingan is worth it? Don't start. Sakura snaps. Kakashi-sensei needs help. Your arguing will not keep him from dying. For the second time in less than 10 minutes, they're trying to help a loved one who is gravely injured. And Kakashi doesn't have Naruto's healing abilities, so we won't let him, Sarada insists. How exactly are we going to do that? I have no idea. I haven't thought that far ahead yet, Sarada replies, staring at Sasuke in the hope that he'll come up with some kind of plan. He's not paying attention though. His eyes flick back to where Naruto and Miumi are doing their best to tear chunks out of each other. Even in the distance, Sarada can see how Naruto's nails have lengthened and sharpened unnaturally. He seizes his opponent, lobbing him toward the rocky ceiling. Miumi's back hits the dome, causing the entire room to shake. Cracks appear where he hit. Sakura dives forward, shielding Kakashi and his wounds from any of the falling debris. We need to stop them before they bring this whole place down, Sarada says. We were lucky to get out of the first cave-in. I don't want to tempt another one when Uncle Kakashi is near death. Then we have to end this, now, Sasuke declares, straightening up. He means to join Naruto and take out the enemy, but Sarada grabs for him. Her fingers settle plaintively around his wrist. He flinches at the touch. This him probably dislikes physical contact more than the older version, but it doesn't stop her from objecting. You can't. You saw what he did to Naruto, and what he did to Kakashi-sensei. If he gets you too. If you die now. She can't put into words how bad it would be. For a wonder, Sasuke actually hesitates, and something like conflict passes over his features. His gaze flicks to Sakura, who's staring at him with the same beseeching expression Sarada feels on her own face. There's another dull thud, and the cavern shakes. Naruto hits the ground, and for a few seconds, looks unable to move. That's it, the clawed man taunts. That's all you got? I've gotta say, I'm disappointed. And still a little riled up. Tell you what, kid, when you and the other pipsqueak are dead, I think I'll take my time with the girls. They both seem so spirited. The words drip with intent, and Sarada can't quite disguise the shiver of dread that travels up her spine. Sakura's cheeks drain of color. Sasuke goes very still. Suddenly, Naruto's chakra isn't the most disturbing thing in the cave anymore. Something dark and dangerous glints in his eyes. Stay behind me, he orders the girls, voice devoid of inflection, but leaving no room for argument. As soon as you can, take Kakashi and the dog, and get out of here. What are you going to do? Sakura protests. I'll help Naruto distract him while you run. Go through the tunnel. And then what? Then I'll kill him. You're not strong enough. Sarada's protest dies in her throat as she notices something moving across Sasuke's neck. At first, she thinks it's a shadow, or maybe even a legion of bugs like what Shino-sensei commands. It spreads from a small, circular bruise, which was covered before by his clothes, and stretches across his neck, legs, and arms. But when her Sharingan picks up the mottled color, like dried blood, and she feels a more pointed, colder shift in her father's chakra, a new conclusion hits her. He has a curse seal, just like the monster Naruto is fighting, just like the teleporter who threw her off a cliff. Why do you, she falters. What did I say? Sasuke growls at her, eyes blazing and Tomo spinning furiously. Get moving! Now, is that what I think it is? Sarada whispers, but neither of her young parents answer her. You can't! Sakura cries. She doesn't seem unsurprised by this, but her worry is plain. You're not supposed to use it, you know what it. If I don't, we're all going to die, Sasuke snaps. So, shut up and stay back. Sakura's mouth closes with an audible click, and she shrinks back, while Sasuke stalks purposefully away. Sarada gapes at her mother, utterly floored by what she's just seen. Are you just going to let him talk to you like that? She demands, unable to keep the reproach out of her voice. What exactly do you want me to do? Sakura replies dully. You're his teammate. You need to stop him, not when he's like that. I only managed to once, and I think it was a fluke. The words fits of rage and mental instability echo in Sarada's mind as she remembers her conversation with Kakashi. At the same time, she makes the connection to what he said about there being only 2 people with cursed seals that Konoha had access to. Sasuke is one of them. Questions explode half-formed in her mind, but before she can settle on any particular one, her attention is drawn by the whirlwind of movement that is her father. She has a Sharingan and can barely follow him as he hammers into Miumi, Shuriken clutched in his hands like he has his own claws. There's a manic grin on his face that, coupled with the intensity of his eyes, makes him look as mad as the man who attacked them. Sarada! She jumps, glancing over at Sakura. Her mother's fists are clenched, and she is very studiously trying to avoid watching the brawl unfolding across the cave. We have to help Kakashi-sensei, she reminds her, words forced like they're being spoken around a lump in her throat. Her eyes are panicked. But I don't know what to do. It's not a question, but there's enough weight to Sakura's words that Sarada knows she's expecting her to have an answer. Sasuke's cursed zeal and brutality aside, Sarada needs her attention to be here right now. She racks her brain for an answer to Sakura's plea. This whole day, this whole mission, she's been required to come up with solution after solution. She is getting closer to the bottom of her metaphoric bag of tricks. Even now, she's not sure if there is anything she can do. What would Mama do? Not give up, that's for sure. Sakura Uchiha's determination to succeed is just as legendary as Lord Seven's. He once told Sarada the story of how, during the war, Mama actually stuck her hand in his chest to keep his heart beating after he'd technically died. And when Sarada was a little kid, Mama saved Uncle Shikamaru's life by tying their life forces together. Lady Fifth was furious, but that's the kind of thinking Sarada needs right now, just enough to. Her thoughts come to a halt as she remembers something else she saw her mother do that day. She knows for a fact that if her mother ever finds out she considered doing this, she'll throttle her. Because it's not only dangerous to Kakashi, but one wrong burst of chakra could kill Sarada just as easily. I might have an idea, she says, exhaling shakily. But I've only ever watched my mother do it once before. If she found out I was suggesting this, I don't care what it is. Just do it. Sakura cuts her off. If we live through this, I promise I'll never tell your mother, okay? If the situation weren't so dire, it would be funny, right? Sarada breathes again, trying to center herself. I'll need you to lend me chakra. I don't. It's the same as what you did before with Sasuke. You remember how to do that, right? I think so, Sakura allows and holds out her hand. Sarada doesn't mention that it'll be even easier between them, as parents and children share certain biological properties. Now isn't the time to continue with their ever-unfolding family drama. It's time to save the man who's like a second father to every single one of them. She concentrates. Sakura's chakra fits seamlessly into her own, as she expected, familiar from so many incidents of healing scraped knees and fevers. There's less of it than she's ever felt, but it's still familiar and strong. Focus on stopping the blood while I work, Sarada instructs. Stitch the wounds closed, if you have to. I'll contain any bacterial infection that I can sense. Her left hand glows, but it's not the same stable light her mother's healing chakra takes on. It flickers, like an unsteady flame, because Sarada is not a medic neen, she doesn't have her mother's training, and she can only rely on books and observation. If she fails at this, the blue glow sputters out. What happened? Sakura cries. It's nothing, Sarada assures her, pushing away all doubt. I need to concentrate better. I've never. You can do this, Sakura tells her, firm. I've watched you do impossible stuff the whole day. This is nothing. Sakura might not be her mother yet, but hearing those words bolsters Sarada's resolve. She nods, determined, and goes back to work. She never realized just how much exertion goes into healing someone. Her mother always makes it look so effortless, even for life-threatening injuries. The Sharingan can copy techniques flawlessly, but if it weren't for her precise chakra control, none of this would be possible. Doing all this while trying not to listen to the growls and pained cries from across the cave where her loved ones are either being ripped to shreds, or ripping someone else to shreds, is even harder. She visualizes the rents in Kakashi's abdomen closing and tries to see the injuries to his internal organs do the same. After a few minutes, she pulls back, forehead and back drenched with sweat that stings the open wounds on her body. It's not going to work, Sarada pants in frustration. Sakura's expression is agonized. What do you mean? The wounds are closing. I'm watching you close them, right now. I barely even have to stitch. He's lost way too much blood. Even sewn up, his heart won't have anything to pump. Not unless we can transfuse. What? I know what it means. I just didn't think you were serious. Why the hell wouldn't I be serious? So what? We're just supposed to magically find a bag of blood somewhere. No. We'll have to make do. With what? With you. What? He's O positive, and so are you. Sarada hisses. So, you're the only one who can help him right now. How do you know my... Hold on. You want to do a transfusion here? Are you insane? That's an incredibly complex procedure, and they don't even do that in hospitals anymore because they have. I've seen my mother do it in an emergency situation, and I copied it with my Sharingan, just in case. Sarada cuts her off. I'm not saying it won't be hard, especially because I've only got the one hand working right now. But it's just a matter of creating a cut and using a line of chakra to explain it later, Sakura interrupts. Just help him now, before I come to my senses, okay? It's easy to understand her sudden change of attitude. Kakashi's skin is almost corpse-like in pallor now, and when Sarada touches her fingers to his wrist, it's cold, and his pulse is sluggish. "Get me some water," Sarada orders. "We need something to conduct the blood." In the hospital setting where her mother did this procedure, she used a sterile medicinal fluid, but their options are limited right now. Sakura scrambles to fill the small flask from her pack, and Sarada busies herself with cutting Kakashi's sleeve from his arm. When Sakura returns, she takes the full flask and gestures for her to lie down beside Kakashi. "Bind your arms together, not too tight, or you'll cut off circulation, but enough to keep you close. The closer you are to one another, the better." Sakura does as she's told, bringing her arm and Kakashi's parallel to each other. With the fabric of his shirt holding them together, Sarada indicates that Sakura should lie back and be calm. "Because one of us needs to be, and if you freak out, I'll freak out." Summoning up her focus, she pulls her chakra into one point on her uninjured hand, her index finger. She visualizes it forming into a blade, a chakra scalpel like she's seen her mother use. The edge shivers on the tip of her nail before smoothing into a solid line of chakra. "All right. Here goes. Gods, please don't let me kill him by accident." Sarada sets to work, searching the crease in Kakashi's elbow for a vein, and then makes a small incision. The cut is crude and larger than it should be, so it bleeds more than she expected it would. She grits her teeth and channels chakra into her injured hand and crouches forward, ordering her swollen, broken fingers to bend. She just needs them to shove enough chakra into the wound to keep the blood flow under control. Hands shaking from pain and nerves, she wills the edge of her chakra scalpel to become sharper. Eyes search out an artery in Sakura's inner elbow. "I'd go for a vein, but an artery is faster," she explains, and Sakura nods in encouragement. Sarada makes the incision. Her mother grimaces in discomfort as blood spills forth, and she releases the chakra scalpel, taking up the flask and splashing across their joined arms. She's breathing hard now, like she's just run a marathon or survived a sparring session with Meteru, but she can't give in. Her hands are shaking again, and doubt fills her once more, but Sakura leans forward and grasps her wrist. Chakra flows through her body, steadying her hands. "Thanks," she says. "But you shouldn't move." And she goes back to work. Using a blend of her own and her mother's chakra, she charges the water until it forms a bubble-like shape in the air. Sakura stares in wonder, much the same way Sarada did when she watched her mother do this the first time. With supreme effort, she forms the glob of moisture into a tube, fitting it to the bleeding wounds in each arm. Sarada concentrates, pressing the ends into the delicate membranes of her mother's and Kakashi's major blood vessels. A dark, rushing line of red flows from Sakura's arm toward Kakashi. Sarada half expects it to hit his skin and trickle off or for the chakra line to fail in the middle of the procedure, but by some miracle, it holds. She and Sakura watch with bated breath as, ever so slowly, Kakashi's skin color returns to normal. The next 5 minutes tick by in agony, either girl allowing the battle in the background to faze them, as the three warring dynamos skirmish, doing their best to destroy each other and the surrounding cavern. The girls have found some kind of vacuum of utter silence and concentration. Only when Kakashi gasps and opens his eyes do they move once more. Sarada falls back, her concentration broken. The blood fluid tube succumbs to gravity, and it's all she can do to press her hand against Sakura's inner elbow to stem the flow of blood. With the last of her chakra, she does the same for Kakashi. "That was very foolish," Kakashi tells her as he sits up, but there's a softness in his eyes. "Yet, exactly what your mother would have done." Sarada tries to call up a watery smile, but lacks the strength to even do that. Something warm trickles from her nose, and a wave of sharp, splitting pain hits her right behind the eyes. "Sarada!" Sakura cries, lurching forward. It's the last thing she sees. Chapter 15, Interlude 2. Boruto awakens in a dimly lit chamber, blinking in confusion up at the stone overhead. The sensation of pain is the first thing to come back to him, a stinging hot pain in his shoulder. Right. My first real stab wound. He briefly considers soldiering through the pain of it. It's what Dad or Uncle Sasuke would do. Then again, Dad can heal himself and Uncle Sasuke has Aunt Sakura to fix him up. And he's already lost an arm, maybe to sepsis. Okay, scratch that, get up and get this healed. His body feels like one giant bruise, as if he has been knocked around or thrown down a flight of stairs while he was unconscious. He can't believe all this came from the one fight with. Memory rushes back to him in Technicolor, the ghost man, Big Bro Konohamaru and Natsuki wounded, Sarada running off into the distance, something hitting him in the back of the head. "Sarada!" he says suddenly and sits up in a hurry. The ceiling is so low that he hits head upon getting upright, and is sent back down holding his head. Moaning in pain, he turns onto his uninjured side and surveys his surroundings. He is underground, in some kind of a cavern, more of a crevice, and there's no one else there but Konohamaru. Mitsuki and Sarada are nowhere to be seen. Growling through his pin, Boruto crawls over to Konohamaru and begins to go through his pack, trying to find something to help. There are general anesthetic pills, which he gulps down eagerly, and soldier pills. He warily grabs hold of the needle and thread for stitching, not entirely sure he's ready to try sewing himself or Konohamaru up. It probably wouldn't be a good idea with the way their wounds are now, burgeoning with infection. And even if he does, what do they do next? They're in some kind of hole underground. Who knows where it twists and turns off to? Boruto kicks at the ground in frustration, at a loss at what to do next. Sarada is the planner, not him. He just likes to react to things as they come, and right now, he can't do that. His vision flickers, two scenes superimposed on one another, and out of the corner of his right eye he notices something glowing around Konohamaru's wrist. A huge collection of chakra just sitting there. Blinking his eye back to normal, he reaches for his sensei's sleeve and pulls it back, emitting a startled laugh when it reveals the kote. And here I thought we weren't supposed to use those. He teases Konohamaru, but it is mostly a relieved kind of jest. There's bound to be something in the chamber for healing. It takes several frustrated tries to empty the chamber of offensive jutsu, none of which will help them right now, before he stumbles upon a cartridge with Sakura Uchiha's seal upon it. Yes, without wasting time, Boruto snaps the cartridge back into place and squeezes the trigger. An orb of green healing energy grows in his palm, warming his entire body. You just watch, big bro, Boruto grunts as he presses the energy into Konohamaru's shoulder. We're going to fix you up, and then get out of this place, and find Sarada and Mitsuki. And if you're really nice about all this, I won't tell my dad you brought this on our mission. Chapter 13. Sarada? Sarada! Sakura cries as the other girl slumps forward, blood trickling from her nose. She catches her and sends Kakashi a panicked look. What's wrong with her? Kakashi wants to tell Sakura to calm down, but his own concern for the unconscious girl supersedes that wish. She used the last of her strength, he says, grimly noting the shallow rise and fall of her chest. Her eyes don't move beneath the lids, and when he gingerly reaches out to check her pulse, he finds a much slower one than he would like. Ruptured a few blood vessels doing it, too. If she's lucky, they were in her nasal passages and not her brain. Sakura appears horrified. We need to wake her. The longer she's unconscious, the more likely she might have neurological damage, Kakashi continues. I'll do what I can, but you're still hurt. You have a more important job right now, he replies with gentle firmness. I can't move very far, and I need you to get Bull. My orders from before still stand. We need to get out of here and regroup. He's not one to run from a fight, but in this case, the most intelligent course of action is retreat. Sakura is smart enough to know this as well because she gets to her feet and heads off, skirting the ongoing melee. Kakashi inhales a shaky breath, returning his attention to his unconscious charge. Seriousness of her condition aside, he can't fight back the mounting sense of awe at what she's done today alone. Sasuke and Sakura's daughter is a force to be reckoned with, a true prodigy with her father's skill and mother's resilience. Part of him wonders if he, his future self, had any hand in shaping her as well. There's not much else he can do right now but try to wake her. Healed or not, he's weak, and won't be fighting any time soon. Which means, unless he can orchestrate a miracle from afar, the boys are the ones running the show. The problem is both are now the very worst versions of themselves. They might win the fight, but utterly lose their sanity in the process. Naruto has tapped into the Fox Demon's power, a change which Kakashi can sense despite his own lack of strength. The boy's usual overwhelming chakra is different, darker, and unless it's brought under control soon, he might break Lord Fourth's seal. As for Sasuke, he's using the cursed seal that Kakashi explicitly warned him about. While it's granting him uncanny strength now, it will soon begin to eat into his chakra, draining his life force. And yet, in spite of the dire circumstances, the common enemy has united the boys. They're working together with a seamless, instinctual teamwork that Kakashi has only seen hints of previously. A savage barrage of kicks from Sasuke forces Miumi to stagger back. Seconds later, Naruto lunges, seizing the clawed man around the middle, knocking him to the ground. Clambering across the prone man, he crouches on his chest and grips him by the shoulder, elongated nails sinking in. Miumi yells, bucks the blonde boy off, and prepares to attack, but is grabbed by Sasuke. Barely exerting any effort, Sasuke tosses him across the room, the force causing Miumi to spin in the air and hit a far wall face first. He crawls to his feet, but Naruto is already there, taking a swing. Blood sprays through the air as Miumi's cheekbone shatters, his jagged teeth cutting across the back of Naruto's fist. As he reels, Sasuke takes hold and swings him over his back, dropping the clawed man until he lays prone on his back. In spite of the beating, Orochimaru's experiment still gets to his feet. The only difference now is that he eyes them warily. "You should stay down," Naruto growls, a part of him still trying to keep this fight from ending with anyone dying. Sasuke isn't as committed to that course of action. The memory of what Miumi said about the girls fills him with a burning anger, one which seems to bleed through the mark that covers his body. Emotions that he always buries deep, rage, pain, hatred, simmer on the edges of his consciousness, fueling the intoxicating strength he hasn't experienced since the forest of death. It makes him want to lash out, to rip apart whatever living thing is closest. Even Naruto, standing beside him and radiating that strange, dark chakra, beckons him to attack. It's a constant challenge to remember that the other boy is his teammate. Miumi sniggers. "You think I'm going turn tail because two brats got their second wind? You obviously don't understand what life's like down here." His sneering smile widens. The moving black stain spreads even more thickly across his body until every inch of his flesh is covered. The mark solidifies, taking on a grayish hue. It resembles unbaked clay, but with a texture closer to a snake's scales. The claws fused to his knuckles also grow longer, as if protruding from deep within his arms. Miumi's irises and pupils bleed into black, while his wild hair lengthens and turns white, surrounding him like a mane. His ears elongate, resembling those of a cat or a bat, while a tail rises behind him with spikes sprouting from its tip, a shiny substance oozing from it. "What the hell is that?" Naruto demands. Miumi takes a step forward, eyes settling on Sasuke. "Unlike you, I fully embraced what Orochimaru gave me," he sneers. "He only ever saw me as a guinea pig, but there's a reason I survived when hundreds of others didn't. I destroyed anyone who got in my way and devoured their flesh to become even stronger." Naruto makes a disgusted noise in his throat, and even Sasuke can't help wrinkle his nose. He might want power more than anything in this world, but the lengths this creature went through to achieve the same revolts him. "Well, that explains your teeth, at least," Naruto taunts. Miumi bellows and his arm whips out. Somehow, it's grown longer, and backhands him. Sasuke only twists his body at the last second to avoid the claws, resulting in him sliding across the floor of the cave on his back. As Miumi takes another run at him, Sasuke deftly pulls out a half-dozen shuriken, aiming them for whatever vulnerable points he can see: eyes, neck, joints. His enemy avoids all but one of them, which takes him in the flesh above his elbow, by jumping into the air. The impossible tail lashes out, wrapping around one stalactite to keep him stable. After regaining his balance, he propels himself downward, claws spread and aimed at Sasuke. Naruto intercepts him, swiping at Miumi's side with his own sharp nails, but the clawed man is ready for him. His tail whips around, sending the blonde boy flying again, barreling into another body. Naruto recovers and rounds on whoever stopped his trajectory, only to freeze when he sees that it's Sakura. "What are you doing here?" He snarls as she tries to pull herself to her feet, looking dazed. "Kakashi-sensei told me to get bull," she begins. Naruto whirls to see that his teacher is once more conscious and upright. It's impossible. He saw what Miumi did to him, but somehow that's what he's looking at. He also realizes that now it's Sarada who lies prone on the ground, unconscious. "We can't keep doing this," he mutters. Every piece of good news seems to herald a loss on its tail. At this rate, Miumi will just need to pick them off one by one. "Kakashi-sensei says we need to retreat," Sakura admits reluctantly. "Do it," Naruto orders. "Sasuke and I will keep him busy. Then we'll catch up." "You've been keeping him busy all this time, and it hasn't done anything. You need to incapacitate him long enough for us to get away," Sakura points out, eyes gleaming with determination and anxiety. "All of us." "Naive little fool," the Nine-Tails sneers in the back of his head, but Naruto ignores him. He's just as intent as Sakura to get the people he cares about out of this situation. The odds might not be good, but then they've never been good for him, and he always comes out on top. Naruto draws on the roiling, angry power within him. He forms a Rasengan in his hand and lunges back into battle. Left behind once more, Sakura clenches her jaw and continues with her mission. She might not be strong enough to fight the clawed man like her teammates can, but she can still follow orders. The hulking dog is conscious when she gets there, but before she can demand why he hasn't been helping them, she sees that his hip is badly dislocated. Given the angle he hit the wall at, He's lucky that's the worst injury. You poor thing, she murmurs. The dog won't be leading any of them out of here anytime soon, and Sakura's stomach sinks at this realization. You need healing. Can you move on your own? Bull whines a negative, and Sakura bites her lip. Moving the dog at this point might injure him further, but she can't leave him behind. But she could barely make her way over here without getting involved in the ongoing melee. Dare she risk it with a hulking, muscly dog? There's no question. They're in a bad situation, but there's nothing to lose by trying. She half carries, half drags the large canine across the floor to where Kakashi is waiting, still trying to bring Sarada back to consciousness. There's an uncomfortable, gnawing of worry in Sakura's stomach at the idea that the girl might not wake up. She feels responsible for this. She was the one who told Sarada to do whatever she could to save Kakashi, and now Sakura might have pushed her into sacrificing herself. Not only will Sasuke never forgive her, if that's the case, but she'll be to blame for killing a potential friend. The cavern shakes all around them with the force of the fight still going on. Naruto and Sasuke might provide excellent distractions, but it's hard for Sakura to keep her mind on her own mission while she worries about her friends possibly dying. I should be helping them. I should stop being so useless. All I can do is run away. You're in a bad state, Kakashi says to Bull, his words bringing Sakura out of her guilty self-recrimination. There's no point in keeping you here, after all. I'll send you back. The dog makes a noise of protest. Obviously, he wants to stay and help despite his injury, but Kakashi has already undone the summoning. Wait! Sakura cries, but it's too late. Bull is gone in a puff of smoke. You should have sent him with a message to Lady Tsunade to send help. You know why we can't do that, Kakashi replies tired. Here. Help me pick her up. Together, and with great difficulty, they begin to maneuver Sarada off the ground. Time is already compromised. We don't know what might make it implode. What do you mean, compromised? Something Miumi said. He mentioned that he'd heard of Sasuke before, and he talked about Orochimaru's plans. So, how likely is it that he'd still know that after 20 years have passed? Or even that he'd survived 20 years, considering the conditions of this place? Kakashi points out. This whole base. I don't think it's in the future, after all. I think it's in our time, Sakura gapes. But that makes no sense. We crossed through the bubble. Sarada is from this time, and that's why I think time is breaking down, Kakashi tells her, tone severe. The longer we take, the weaker it all gets. This place, wherever, whenever we are, is a mixture of different eras. They're bleeding into one another, and it's only a matter of time before it's all destroyed. Then we can't waste any more time fighting this guy, Sakura determines. We need to get away and stop the time fluctuations? She glances back at the ongoing fight. Do you think he knows? I doubt it. He said himself that he was locked up for years, Kakashi replies. Which means our ghost is the only chance. And I don't have the strength to bring him back just now. Maybe not for a long time. Then what the hell are we supposed to do? Sakura yells, losing her temper at last. Kakashi doesn't have time to answer as several bodies fly past, forcing them to duck out of the way. The boys and Miumi are a tangle of flailing limbs and sharp blades, but it finally seems as if her friends have the upper hand. Miumi hobbles away, his terrifying, monstrous form fading. His skin returns to normal and his claws shorten, no longer daggers, but still sharp. Not a moment too soon either, because Sasuke's curse seal is fading. Sakura knows that means his strength is waning too. With the last of it, he hauls out several strands of wire, looping it around Miumi and twisting it so that he can sling the creature over his back. In the meantime, Naruto grabs one of the man's arms and yanks him backward. The sound of breaking bones and tearing flesh fills the air, and Sakura smells blood. Horrified at what she is seeing, at what her friends are doing, she can't help the scream that's wrenched from her throat. No! In her head, she knows that this is what should happen. This thing has tried to kill them, has injured her sensei, has threatened horrible things, but the idea of watching her friends turn into monsters themselves sickens her far more. There's a brief moment of hesitation, as if all three of the fighters are taking a collective breath, and then the dynamic changes again. Sasuke's mark disappears, and he loses his grip, falling backward. Miumi manages one last well-placed hit, knocking Naruto away from him and making a run for it, straight at Sakura and Kakashi. Before either of them can move, Sakura finds herself seized roughly and dragged away from her team. Sakura, let her go, you bastard! Miumi holds Sakura tightly, arm wrapped around her and claws pointed toward her chest. A tighter hold and he'll be able to tear into her heart. Blood from his mangled arm drips to the floor, but he seems unaware of it, more intent on leaning his mouth within inches of Sakura's jugular. One quick movement, and he could pierce it with his teeth. You come any closer, I'll rip her throat out, he threatens, eyes focused on Naruto and Sasuke. It'll be the last thing you ever do, Sasuke promises. She'll still be dead. Kakashi is tense. He's doing his best just to stay upright and is in no position to challenge the enemy. Out of the corner of his eye, he notices Sarada stir. Sakura notices, too, keenly aware of everyone around her. Naruto and Sasuke are both frozen in place, crouched in preparation for the attack, but deceptively immobile, like lions preparing to close in on a kill. Miumi brings his misshapen, wicked teeth closer to Sakura's neck and then, with a mocking chuckle, drags his tongue up the side of her face. Sakura emits a muffled groan of disgust. Naruto snarls and takes a step forward, but Sasuke stops him. Don't. He'll kill her, he growls, his voice rough and weak and so utterly unlike him. Sakura notices dimly that he is no longer covered with the dark, moving mark from before. Perhaps that's why he looks so pale now. Not before I get to him, Naruto retorts, and for some reason, Sakura imagines the whites of his eyes reddening. When she blinks, it's gone, and Sasuke is strengthening his hold on him. Oh, Miumi taunts, taking a few steps backward with Sakura. Is this one yours? Perhaps I'll bring her along with me. Just to keep you off my back, you see. You're not taking her anywhere, Naruto informs him. Sakura glances once more to Sarada, wanting to ensure she is alright, and trying to think of a way out of it. Her brain is sluggish, not wanting to plan, but at the same time, as she watches Sarada fight her way back to full consciousness, she feels her own resolve harden. Sakura's lips firm into a line and she narrows her eyes, forehead wrinkled in calculation. Sweat beads down the side of her neck and, like her teammates, her body is taut and ready to spring. Carefully, she draws out the last weapon she has on her, a kunai with an explosive tag wrapped around it. Instantly, Sarada knows what Sakura is thinking. Sakura isn't in a position where she can stab Miumi, not without getting herself killed. And she could always miss. That would still leave him with the ability to harm the others before they take him out. If she ignites the tag where she stands, however, don't do it! Sarada cries, or tries to, but her voice comes out cracked and weak. Miumi chuckles, taking the warning as a plea for Sakura's life. Crawl on your knees and beg, girlie. It's all right, Sakura whispers tightly, deliberately meeting Sarada's gaze. It'll be fast. It doesn't matter about me as long as you're all safe. No! Sarada gasps. You don't understand. You're important, Sakura says firmly, despite the tremble of her lips. I'll protect you even with my life. Sakura! There is a chorus of voices that shout out for her as the others now realize what she's about to do. And then several things happen in quick succession. Sakura ignites the tag, Sarada screams, and then, Rasengan! A powerful blast hits Miumi from the back, forcing him to let go of Sakura. She's thrown to the ground while the clawed man is propelled forward by a huge ball of energy. It drives him across the chasm beyond the reservoir, over the drop, and out of sight. What the? Naruto demands because the attack didn't come from him. Take that, you freak! A familiar voice crows. A dark shape appears in the space Miumi once occupied, all disheveled blonde hair and torn clothes, but so very much alive. Who the hell is this? Sasuke demands. Boruto. Sarada gasps, disbelief and relief overtaking her. Did I just save your ass, princess? Her teammate mocks with a grin. I totally saved your ass because I'm awesome. Believe it, you idiot, she murmurs, and she can't help but smile because, finally, something is going right. Seriously, you'll never be Hokage if you need, but what she needs she never learns, because Sakura suddenly screams, Get back, everyone! The tag in her hand is still live, and although she hurls it away from herself, it's too late. The rest happens as if in slow motion. An explosion rocks the cavern, the ground beneath their feet erodes, and before Sarada's eyes, the nearest section of the dam crumbles. The water in the makeshift reservoir spills violently down the drop, and the turbines of the power station falter. The lights in the cave flicker, and then go out, and that's all that she can see because she is flying backward through dust and debris. It all happens so fast that, if it weren't for his Sharingan, Sasuke wouldn't have caught it. As it is, it's not until it's all over that his brain catches up and puts the sequence of events back together. Before the air filled with dust, he saw Sakura, her hand outstretched toward Sarada. His own instinctual reaction was also to seek out the girl from the future. When he found her, she was lying on the ground, he's still not sure why, and too far away for him to get to. Next, Kakashi shoved her out of the direct path of the explosion as the ground collapsed beneath them. Sasuke might not have been able to get to Sarada, but he was close enough to at least yank the strange blonde kid out of the way. The strange blonde kid who appeared out of nowhere and somehow wields Naruto's Rasengan. There was no time to dwell on suspicion, not with the danger of being ripped apart by explosives or having the ceiling cave in on him looming. Sasuke pulled them both out of range, body complaining at every burst of exertion, until they were safely ensconced in the tunnel Kakashi tried to lead them through earlier. He remembers being vaguely aware of Kakashi dodging out of the way as well, of Naruto calling Sakura's name. He takes a little longer than usual to recover. He's weak, and using the curse seal for as long as he did, longer than he ever has, actually, completely drained his strength. Not just his chakra, but his physical abilities. His muscles ache like they're consuming themselves. He can't even keep a hold of the collar of the blonde kid's jacket, black and pink? Ever heard of camouflage? Because his fingers are shaking. Several meters away from Sasuke, Kakashi moans painfully as he sits up. He's been knocked back, and the neatly stitched wound in his chest is weeping blood again. The other boy, Boruto, that's what she called him, appears dazed and crawls away from Sasuke to survey the surrounding damage. By a stroke of luck, the grotto hasn't caved in, but there's a massive crater blown into the floor. It fills rapidly with water as pieces of the surrounding rock continue to crumble in. Dead? The boy mutters, searching around him. Sasuke freezes, staring at him, because there is no freaking way that. There's a cough from across the room, and several piles of rubble shift. A familiar orange sleeve sticks out and drags its owner out. Ouch, Dad! Boruto calls, scrambling to his feet and toward Naruto. Dad! Are you okay? Naruto blinks up at this strange blonde kid with bleary eyes, and painfully glances around. Dad? Who are you talking about? Boruto gapes at him, but anything he might have been about to say is cut off by a terrified scream rending the air. Mama! It's not the word itself, reverberating within the ruined cave which causes everyone to whirl around. Nor is it the utter fear contained in it. It's the fact that it's Sarada, and that she's cut off by a choking gurgle, like she's suddenly been sucked underwater. The dust clears just in time to watch a flash of pink and the white-on-red circle of Sakura's back disappear over the edge of the falls. Sasuke's heart lurches, but his legs remain rooted to the spot. Sakura! Naruto screams, struggling to his feet, while Boruto cries, Sarada! Both of them stumble almost to the ledge itself before someone grabs them from behind. Kakashi has managed to get to his feet, despite his injuries, and has seized both boys by the collar. Stop! He orders, towing them away from the precarious drop. You'll go over too, if you're not careful. But Sakura, Sarada's, we don't know what's down there, and jumping in after them will just get you killed, Kakashi insists, voice firm. It doesn't matter. We have to go after them. Naruto argues. If we don't, they could die. Boruto agrees. Kakashi's throat feels clogged, and not from dust. There's nothing he wants more than to make sure his student and the girl from the future are all right. But enough of today has been spent ignoring protocol in favor of emotion, all of which has done nothing but exacerbate the situation they find themselves in now. And so, staring down at the similar faces of Naruto and, he suspects, the Jinchuriki's future son, Kakashi forces himself to stand firm. They could, he agrees with a heavy heart. And if they are, you two killing yourselves won't help them. And knowing both Sakura and Sarada, they would never forgive either of you for hurting yourselves on their behalf. But Kakashi-sensei, idiot! The word is punctuated by the sound of bone hitting stone. Kakashi, Naruto and Boruto turn to see Sasuke, his back to them, with one fist set in a small indentation of stone where he's punched the wall. Blood trickles from between his knuckles. Hey! Naruto protests, but for once, Sasuke isn't talking about Naruto. She's an idiot! He growls, voice a low whisper that swells with rage and something else. Kakashi's eyes soften. This is about Sakura. She shouldn't have done that, Sasuke continues, shoulders tense. Sacrificing herself for us. And with such an idiotic idea. What the hell good did it do? Are you stupid? Naruto yells, stalking forward to shove his teammate. It's a measure of how weakened Sasuke is that he can't even retaliate. She didn't do it for us, you bastard. Didn't you hear? Get off me. She knows what Sarada means to you. She thought she was doing what you would want. She was protecting someone who's important to you. Well, it doesn't matter now, does it? If she dies, so does Sarada. Naruto frowns, not having expected that. What do you mean? Sasuke stares at him, and then disgust overtakes his features. You can't be this stupid, he sighs, the rage abruptly draining out of him. He relaxes, all fight gone. He no longer cares what anyone else has to say about the matter. Secrets are useless anyhow. Sakura is Sarada's mother. What? Naruto whispers, taking a step back. No way. Something like pain flickers across his features, but even as slow as Naruto is, he can see the information once it's laid out for him. In his own fashion, he goes over all the events of today and realizes the truth. Did she know? Naruto asks, tentative. Sasuke turns away again, shielding his face from view. It doesn't matter. A sharp jolt of worry shoots through Kakashi. Sasuke, he says, willing the boy to turn around. When he doesn't, he adopts a more commanding tone. Sasuke, let me see your eyes. Right now. Slowly, Sasuke turns to meet his teacher's gaze, his jaw set, anger still written on his features. His Sharingan is active, the tomo spinning in a wild circle, but they are very clearly still tomo and not the kaleidoscope pinwheel of a Mangekyo. The potential loss of Sakura and Sarada have not caused him to awaken the evolved form of his Kekkai Genkai. Kakashi allows himself to exhale in relief, and then mentally chastises himself for jumping to conclusions. You don't think they've died, Kakashi states, taking care with each syllable. Sasuke nods, the movement stiff, as Kakashi words what he's already pieced together. Naruto, on the other hand, eyes his teammate and teacher with suspicion and demands, how do you know? And what do Sasuke's eyes have to do with? Oh, he remembers their conversation about what can cause a Sharingan to evolve. The strange kid frowns, looking between them. I don't get it. Kakashi doesn't answer him, but fixes his attention on the new addition to their group. You're Boruto, right? The boy, who's been listening to all of this with a stunned expression on his face so far, shakes himself and faces Kakashi almost at attention. Yeah, he says, eyes wide in surprise. They're bluer than Naruto's. Although he favors his father in looks, right down to the whiskers, his face shape is different. Likely, he takes after his mother, whoever she might be. Kakashi has more ideas about that, but now isn't the time. Who is Sarada? He asks. The kid looks at him like he's insane. Are you kidding me? She was with you this whole time, right? You should know that. I'm asking you. Who is she to you? The kid's cheeks take on a somewhat rosier hue, and he glares at Kakashi. She's my teammate and my friend, believe it. And I thought she was dead. I want to know how you know she's still alive, so we can go save her. Because you're here, Sasuke answers. You're here and you still remember who she is. And who Sakura is. Of course, I know who she is. She's... He trails off, narrowing his eyes. Oh. I get it. Well, I don't. Naruto yells, frustrated at the lack of answers. Boruto gives him a despairing look. You are stupid, aren't you? If Boruto, someone from the future, who Sarada talked to us about, is still here, it means the timelines haven't altered irrevocably. And if Boruto remembers who both Sarada and Sakura are, it means his timeline hasn't changed either, Kakashi explains with deliberate patience. If Sakura died, Sarada wouldn't exist. So, she's alright. Somewhere, and we can rescue her. Naruto cheers, cluing in at last. Okay, fine. That's great. But what about Sarada? Boruto challenges, shooting his father an annoyed, sideways glare. Just because I remember all that stuff doesn't mean she might not be dead down there. She's not, Sasuke says. How do you know? He's unsure for a moment, and then shrugs. She isn't. He can't explain his sudden certainty. And he doesn't want to say the overly emotional word Sarada used, that they are connected, somehow. But he has long known that if anything were to happen to any member of his squad, Naruto, Kakashi or Sakura, he would know it in his gut. This certainty is an extension of that intuition. Still, alive or not, both Sakura and Sarada could be injured, wherever they are. And if Miumi survived the fall as well, Naruto wants to push the issue. He hates it when Sasuke gets cryptic like that. Now is not the time, especially with this new weird-looking kid who's glaring at him like he showed up for training naked or something. But even as he opens his mouth, he takes in Sasuke's defensive, uncertain posture, and he gets it. In that moment, Sasuke's behavior in the past few minutes, hell, in the past few hours, makes sense. Naruto might harbor feelings for their teammate, and might uselessly wish she'd return those, but he knows it's a losing battle. And the annoying part is, the thing that made Naruto outraged on Sakura's behalf all this time, is that he knows Sasuke cares about Sakura. In his own repressed, emotionally constipated way, he considers her precious. Naruto knows because he was in that hospital room when Granny Tsunade healed Sasuke. He watched Sakura wrap her arms around him in relief. He remembers her face that day, looking as if she just received the greatest gift in the world. She smiled the first real smile he'd seen since they carted Sasuke's unconscious body back after their run-in with Itachi. Naruto also remembers Sasuke, confused and disoriented, instinctively leaning into Sakura that day, a look of complete vulnerability on his face. It's a look he'd never seen on his teammate, and it made him feel as if he was intruding on something immensely private. It's the same feeling he has right now as he watches Sasuke struggle knowing that 2 members of his future family are missing, one of them possibly dead. Naruto exhales, deciding that once again he must step in, if only to save Sasuke from brooding himself into a seizure or something. No time to whine about hurt feelings. Well, standing around here won't do anything, he declares. Especially since it looks like Sasuke will one day get his head out of his ass. He sticks his tongue out at Sasuke. But don't think this gets you off the hook, asshole. Low blow, stealing my girl. The confused and almost insulted expression on Sasuke's face is totally worth it. Hey! What the hell are you talking about? Boruto demands. You can't like someone who isn't mom. And definitely not Aunt Sakura. Uncle Sasuke will murder you. Sasuke's eye twitches. Uncle Sasuke? Listen here, you brat. I can like whoever I want. Naruto shouts back, going almost nose to nose with the boy. And he cuts himself off, blinks, and then stares at Boruto in suspicion. Wait. Who's your mom? And why would it matter if I? His words dry up in his throat. Wait a second. This Boruto guy has been talking about his dad almost since he showed up, and now he's looking at Naruto like he's missing something utterly obvious and important. The penny drops. As does Naruto's jaw. No way. Chapter 14. Something hard hits Sarada on the head, filling her with a dizzying confusion. She's only dimly aware that she too is being thrown toward the dark drop of the now rushing waterfall. Instinct more than awareness forces her to grab outward with her less injured hand. Luck rather than skill result in her catching hold of anything. Frantically, she tries to summon up even the smallest modicum of chakra to keep her grasp on the slippery ledge of the drop. Nothing. Her fingers scrabble uselessly against the slick rock, and her body sinks inevitably backward. A hand snatches out and fastens around Sarada's wrist. Sha-na-ro! Sakura looms above her, face flushed with exertion, one hand adhering herself to the ledge with her chakra, the other keeps a tight hold of Sarada. The magnetic sensation around her wrist tells Sarada that her mother is using her chakra to keep them connected to each other. I've got you! Sakura pants. Swing yourself up, but chakra grip aside, Sarada's palm is slick. It's hard to keep hold with the spray covering them both. She grits her teeth in effort as her much-abused arms burn in protest. She wants to follow the directive, to get enough momentum for Sakura to swing her back to the top of the ledge, but she literally has no strength left. I'm slipping! She cries, and it's as if those words are a curse because her fingers begin to glide from the ring of Sakura's. Hold on! Sakura orders, then cranes her neck around, maybe to ask for help. Where are the others? I can't! You have to! Sakura tries to regain her grip. She leans farther over the ledge to the point where chakra won't hold her up if she keeps at this much longer. If you don't yield, Sarada knows whatever is down below will be too much for her. Without strength or chakra, she'll either be swept up in the brutal current of the spillway, or dashed to pieces against the distant terrain, and if Sakura isn't careful, she'll join her. That isn't something that can happen, or all of her past and her parents' future will be destroyed. There's only one thing to do. Tears gather in her eyes as the very real fear of death hits her for the first time today. Let go! Sarada orders, speaking around the growing lump in her throat. What? No, you'll fall too if you don't. No! Keep holding on. Sakura insists, trying to tighten her grasp. Someone will be here in a second to help, you just have to. Sarada's fingers slide, and she flies backward into the darkness. Her stomach swoops, and she's hit by the realization that this is it. She'll never see her parents again or get to say goodbye. It's enough to rip the primal, plaintive shriek from her throat as she heads for the inevitable end. Mama! Sarada's scream echoes above the roaring water, but that barely registers. As she falls backward, caught up in the rushing water, she sees Sakura tumble forward as well, eyes wide and hands still reaching out for her. Sarada is falling backward, falling away, and then, abruptly, water is bearing down on her from all sides. There's a sense of impact, jarring and sudden and bewildering in its intensity. She's twisted painfully this way and that, shoved against the rocky floor of the falls. Her skin scrapes as the current whips her across slippery stone like a rag doll, tearing with every rush of the current. There is nothing but blackness around her, a rush of water assaulting her eyes. She no longer has the strength to call on the Sharingan. There's no way to see any way out of here. More likely, she's doomed to be bashed against the rocks until the final darkness overtakes her. Sarada tries to hold her breath, a precious lungful she stole as she screamed for her mother, but the effort is futile. Between the agony of her body being hauled by the merciless flow of the underground river and the repeated impacts against rocks on all sides, she has no choice. Her mouth is open, and she inhales water and blood. Her lungs fill, throat burning, ribs protesting, and oh gods, she will really die this time. Something clamps around her shoulder, the injured one, and she screams, soundless. White-hot pain flashes across her eyes. Awareness slips away, and she senses unconsciousness looming a final time. There will be no more waking, and this time, she's resigned to it. Mama. Papa. I'm sorry. I tried. There's an abrupt shift of her world. Sensation assaults her from all sides, fighting back the beckoning unconsciousness. The world becomes clearer by inches, colder and drier. Something has yanked her out of the maelstrom. Her body recoils, pulling in on itself as she is tossed onto solid ground. Dizzy and nauseous, Sarada struggles to flip over. Gentle, shaking hands help turn her, holding her steady as she expels liquid through her mouth and nose. She vomits up water and bile, trying simultaneously to draw in precious oxygen. The heaving movements are jarring, and she can't help sobbing in pain, because just how much is she expected to take today? When she recovers enough that breathing on her own isn't impossible, she stares in search of her mysterious savior, only to find Sakura kneeling beside her. The girl is a mess of bruises and scratches, pink locks plastered against her face with water and blood. Her breathing is so violent that her shoulders shake with every inhale. In her hand, she clutches a battered glow stick so tightly that her knuckles are white. Sarada begins, but winces because talking hurts her raw throat. She swallows with difficulty. How did you do that? Sakura needs a few more moments before she answers. Soichurikadzukai, she whispers, teeth chattering. Almost didn't work. Water breathing technique. Right, Sarada says, closing her eyes as she lays back on the ground. You're also a water type. I forgot. So do I, most days, Sakura confesses, forcing herself to relinquish her death grip on the glow stick. There are bloody half-moon imprints of her nails in her palm from how tightly she held it. She doesn't elaborate that it was a split-second decision, either try not to drown, or make the hand signs. If she had chosen wrong, they would both be dead right now. She tries not to dwell on that. Or that, once she had the chakra bubble surrounding her with a temporary supply of air, she had to find Sarada in the darkness. The glow sticks she happened to still have only offered a little light. It was only because the current threw them up against the same submerged rock she even caught hold of her. Even then, there was no guarantee they would ever surface again. Underground streams can run for miles, and it's only by luck that this one empties into an outdoor river. Even luckier than that, she had just enough chakra left to get herself and Sarada out of the plunge pool down at the bottom. Miumi wasn't so lucky. Her eyesight isn't great, so she didn't witness his end herself, but while she towed Sarada to safety, she caught sight of the creature trapped below. One of his clawed hands was caught somehow under fallen rocks, the other grasping fruitlessly upward as he tried to free himself. Drowning is one of the least pleasant deaths Sakura knows about. She tries to feel remorse, but Miumi was a monster. She's glad they don't have to deal with him anymore. Sakura helps move Sarada into a recovery position on her side and falls into one of her own. All the tension holding her together disappears and, for the first time in what seems like weeks, she allows herself to breathe. Brilliant moonlight shines overhead, the air fresh and crisp. It's a stark contrast to the stale oxygen in the tunnels. Sakura doesn't know where they are, in relation to Konoha or the entrance to Orochimaru's base, and at the moment, she doesn't care. All that matters is that they survived and are out of the underground tunnels. Well, that's almost all that matters. You called me Mama. It's not the best way to end the brief solace of the moment, but enough of this day has been lost in misunderstandings. She needs the air to be clear, and she needs it to happen now. Sarada doesn't answer right away, but she must also have grown tired of the subterfuge because she sighs. Yeah? Was that just a reaction to falling to your death, or did you mean? I meant it. So I'm your… Yes, I'm a mom, Sakura states quietly, eyes going out of focus as she tries to wrap her head around the information. I'm your mom, right, and Sasuke's your dad. We've already covered this. Which means, it's not that complicated, Sarada interjects. Don't think about it too hard, okay? It's already caused way too much. I marry Sasuke, Sakura whispers. I really… Sarada shifts her head to one side, wincing as she squints at Sakura. She's startled to see tears gathering in the corner of her eyes. Are you upset about that? She demands, suddenly uncertain. She would have thought Sakura would be thrilled about this, but now she's crying. She did not see that coming in. This is so. Shinaro! Sakura yells in delight, rolling closer to Sarada and grabbing her in a tight, one-armed hug around her ribs. Ack! You're choking me. Sorry! Sakura squeaks, pushing herself back with a penitent look on her face. Sorry, sweetheart? Honey? What do I call you anyway? Let's stick with Sarada. It's less weird. I mean, you're like a year older than me right now, so, okay. Right. Of course. Sakura declares, her cheeks pink and eyes bright with delight. She sits up and clasps her hands together. Oh, this is amazing. I don't know what to think. Or, wait, yes, I do. Why me? Her gleeful smile disappears with the same abruptness in which it appeared, replaced with unease. I mean, he can't stand me. Why would he ever? Before Sarada can answer, Sakura frowns thoughtfully. Wait. Before you said strongest kunoichi, and you were talking about me. Her shoulders droop. That's it. That's the only reason he would ever look at me. So, I have to get strong. I have to. Would you stop it? Sarada demands, cutting of Sakura's uncertain self-recriminations. You're plenty strong, and you shouldn't want to change yourself just to get some jerk's attention. That jerk is your father. No, that jerk is someone my father used to be, Sarada corrects her. My father is strong and caring and loyal. And he respects his wife and his friends, and he doesn't think the world is beneath him. And my mother is a talented shinobi who could break him if he so much as looked at her wrong, not that he ever would, but she did that all on her own, and he wasn't involved in her getting more powerful. So if you want to get stronger, do it for yourself, not because you want him to like you. There's a heavy silence following her outburst. Sarada has to inhale deeply a few times to recapture her breath. It's for the best, as Sakura needs time to process. When she does, she tentatively asks, why didn't you say anything before? Sarada makes a face. No offense, but you are kind of silly, she admits, apologetic. This you anyway. I thought you'd do something stupid. Like what? Just something. Though, whatever I imagined is way less foolish than almost blowing yourself up and then throwing yourself off a cliff, she points out. And I thought Uncle Naruto had the market cornered on crazy stunts. You've done some pretty crazy stuff yourself. I come by it honestly, Sarada retorts, but she's smiling. It is as if a giant weight has lifted off her shoulders. As for Sakura, many different emotions flicker across her green eyes. Unlike when Sasuke found out, her face is an open book, one which Sarada can read with ease, embarrassment, fear, elation, curiosity. I get my eyes from my father, Sarada tells her tentatively. Except I need glasses. I wear contacts, Sakura confesses. Oh, sorry. No, it's, You don't wear them in the future. You never told me that, Sarada muses. I guess that's down to your ability to heal. I asked you once, but you said maybe it was because of… Anyway, I haven't learned how to self-heal yet. And I'm only just learning how to control my strength like you. But I'm not strong. Not now, maybe. But if you had watched you since you were able to walk, you'd able to crush boulders, too, Sarada assures her, and then frowns. Did that sentence make sense? It did in my head, anyway. I also inherited your perfect chakra control, so… Sakura's eyes mist over again, and she sniffs, wiping her nose. Why are you crying again? Sarada demands. Be because I'm happy, Sakura tells her. One day, I will be strong. You said it. I will be more than just a tag-along. I'll be as good as the others. And… her watery smile is pure joy now. I'll get to be with the person I love most in the whole world, and that's… I've just never been so happy. Contrary to her words, she burst into another round of tears. Sarada can't help but think that, no matter what age, her mother never stops being weird. Sakura abruptly curls a fist out in front of her, mouth quirking in a grim, determined smile. I will work hard, so I deserve it, just watch, she declares. Then she unfurls the fist and points at Sarada. First things first. We're going to deal with that. With what? Let me see your arm, Sakura commands. Sarada braves a glance to her right, where the burning pain has become a dull, constant throb. The much-abused limb is even more mangled than it was at the beginning of the day. Despite her half-hearted joke about amputation earlier, she wonders if that's not exactly what will have to happen, given the severity of the injury. If we're going to keep getting in trouble, we need to fix it. Yeah. But I can't do it myself, Sarada sighs. I'm completely tapped out. I don't even think I could stand right now, so talk me through it. When Sarada protests, Sakura goes on. You said I'll be amazing in the future, so I can be amazing now, too. If Kakashi could talk me through a summoning, and I could lend you chakra to save him, you can talk me through this. You've got to be nearing your limit now, too, though. It doesn't matter. You're the stronger kunoichi right now, whatever I am in the future. So, it's more important that you're in your best condition, so you can get us out of here safely. I was serious about what I said before. You're the one who matters. Yeah, but if you accidentally get yourself killed, I won't exist, Sarada reminds her. Then we won't do that, Sakura retorts, as if that's the obvious answer. Now, tell me what to do. Sarada can't help shaking her head in amusement. Once again, she's seeing facets of her own mother, and it's a huge comfort. Okay, she starts to slowly sit up, knowing she must at least demonstrate some of what Sakura is asking her to teach her. As she does, Sakura goes red. What? Nothing, Sarada frowns. Tell me. No. Really? I only realized, Sakura falters, avoiding Sarada's gaze. It's just. If Sasuke and I have a daughter one day, it means we. If Sarada had the energy, she would slap her forehead in exasperation. Wow. You have a dirty mind even when you're my age. What? No, it's nothing like that. Sakura falters, eyes shifting from side to side as she tries to come up with a lie. Whatever, Sarada rolls her eyes and holds up her arm. Are we going to try this, or what? Sakura nods rapidly and reaches out, placing her fingers lightly above Sarada's shattered fingers and closing her eyes in concentration. Ouch. Sorry, it's fine, Sarada assures Sakura with a wince. Just a little less chakra, okay? If you don't, you'll end up blowing up the bone, instead of rebuilding it. Sakura doesn't answer, her eyes intent on the hand in front of her. Sweat trickles down her forehead, and her face is almost the same color as her hair. Her hands hover several inches above Sarada's shattered arm, spread fingers glowing intermittently with cool, green healing chakra. Her breathing is harsh, like she's forcing herself to stay calm and keep in control. Sarada grits her teeth, feeling the splintered remnants of her first metacarpal bone pulling back together. It burns in a way she's not used to, as if the chakra pulling it together is made of barbed wire, instead of spider silk. After almost 15 minutes of struggling, Sakura falls back on her haunches and exhales loudly. I can't anymore, she admits guiltily. It's okay. Take a rest, Sarada tells her encouragingly. You did really well. Gingerly lifting her hand, she tries not to feel sick at the colorful, macabre sight of the appendage. Her right thumb is as bruised as the rest of her, but the bone doesn't hurt anymore. In a few days it'll be good as new. 1 bone down, 26 to go, Sakura sighs, dejected. Don't be so hard on yourself. You've never done this before. Even Papa or Lord Sixth couldn't manage it. Sakura tries to smile at that, but her fatigue is palpable. Lady Tsunade always makes this look so easy. I did 1 bone, and it feels like I just ran a marathon. Sarada knows what she means. Medical ninjutsu is deceptively complex. Even healing a minor hairline fracture is challenging for most elite ninja. There's so much to concentrate on all at once, keeping the blood flowing properly, fighting off outside bacteria, stimulating regeneration of new cells, ensuring the blood cell count remains at the right level. That's part of the reason it was best to start with one of the larger bones first. The smaller the bone, the more meticulous the healer needs to be. Even Sarada doesn't want to test her luck anymore today. The girls sit for a while, recovering their energy. They're fortunate in that there's no rain tonight, and the air is pleasantly cool instead of frigid. It wouldn't be fun to add hypothermia to their list of things that gone wrong. As it is, Sarada doesn't even have the energy to create a fire for them. Sakura ends up kindling a small blaze together to keep the damp away. Both girls huddle together in their underthings. The heavier clothing they wore before is wrung out and laid close enough to the fire to dry. By mutual agreement, they decide not to try to find the rest of their respective teams just yet. With their injuries and overall poor condition, it's more likely they would meet some other kind of trouble long before reuniting with their friends. At least the stars are more visible now, Sakura sighs, looking up. I can probably figure out how to get back to the entrance of the hideout when we do leave here. It might not help, Sarada points out. We can't be sure which tunnels got caved in while we were there. Oh yeah? But it's like Lord Six said, there's probably more than one way in there. If they keep looking for a way out, and we find a way in, we'll probably run into them again. If they don't think we're dead, Sakura sighs, hugging her knees to her. She's begun to shiver, but there's not much they can do about that besides lean closer to one another. Sarada has no answer for her. By rights, they should be dead, and a true shinobi would accept that fact straight away to continue the mission. Isn't that what Papa would say? And Lord Sixth, for all his belief in not leaving comrades behind, would understand that the risks of coming after them outweigh the importance of maintaining the timeline. It's what he should do, even if she supposes Boruto and Naruto won't be happy about it. She doesn't know how the young Sasuke will react. If the past day has shown her anything, it's that she doesn't really know her father at all. They are quiet again, Sakura's eyes roving over Sarada's face. She bites her lip and shifts, like she's trying to get comfortable, but Sarada can see the curiosity in her eyes. She wants to ask questions, but knows she shouldn't. You might as well ask, she points out, a little more amused than resigned. If the world hasn't collapsed by now, I figure you and the rest of your team will forget all about this. I don't want to forget. Sakura protests. I mean, I did before when I thought, but now, it's different, and you knowing it's different could change everything, Sarada points out. There's a lot of stuff I don't even know about, things my parents don't talk about, and you knowing your future might change those things. And that might change how it all happens. You really want to risk that? No, I guess not, Sakura laments. She's quiet for a long moment, and then side-eyes Sarada. But I can ask you some stuff, right? I guess. Sarada hesitates because there are still some things that have to be patently off-limits. This whole situation is so strange. Time travel, long-lost family, and clone monsters. It sounds like the plot to a Princess Gale movie, and I thought the Chunin exams were messed up. You've taken the exam? Sakura inquires, interested. How'd you do? I made it to the finals. I got knocked through a wall, though, and couldn't continue. Shinaro. You're lucky. I didn't make it past the preliminaries. Ino and I knocked each other out. Yeah. You guys still fight about that. Both of you insist the other one passed out first. It was totally her, obviously. What round was it? Did anyone on your team go on to the last match? No, it sort of got cancelled on account of monster attack. Sakura can't help the surprised laugh. Yours too, huh? Was it a giant sand beast? Aliens. What? It's complicated. I don't think I want to know. They're silent again. I was wondering. So, how long? They both start talking and stop at the same time. You first, Sakura suggests. It's not important, Sarada murmurs, apologetic. I was just curious. About that mark your Sasuke has. It's the same that Miumi had, and the ghost man. Does that mean is he dangerous? Sakura considers for a long moment, like she isn't sure what she can and cannot say about it. It's just, where I come from, he has nothing like that. Until today, I didn't even realize something like that existed. Sakura relaxes in relief. Someone got rid of it. Thank goodness. So it is bad. Let's just say, it doesn't surprise me that I wouldn't talk about it in the future. When Orochimaru did that to him, I've never been so scared in my entire life. I was terrified Sasuke would die. Lord Six said those marks, they cause insanity. And rage. Don't you worry he'd ever? No. Iron enters Sakura's tone, the most certainty she's displayed all day. You saw it yourself. He was fighting to protect us. That's why he used the curse seal. We're his team, and we stick together. Oh. Okay. Sarada isn't privy to all the details, but she knows for a fact that one day, possibly soon, that won't be true. Again, there is silence between them. It's broken by Sakura, who hesitantly asks, "Are we happy?" Of all the questions she expected, that wasn't one of them. Sarada shifts painfully around to meet her mother's gaze head-on, and is met with an expression of vulnerability and insecurity. It's a difficult question to answer, and one that Sarada has spent most of her life puzzling over. She knows her parents' relationship isn't typical. Her father's long absence aside, she suspects that, even if he'd been completely present her whole life, he and her mother wouldn't be considered a normal couple. To an outsider looking in, her parents don't present a picture of perfect marital bliss. Behind closed doors, however, rather than tell Sakura her life story, Sarada simply smiles. Yeah. I think you are. Really? Because you said before that we're both going to be great shinobi, and he respects me, and we're connected and… Well, you never… I mean, that doesn't mean that we… Sakura scowls at herself, annoyed that her words aren't coming out how she wants them to. It's just, I know how important it is to him, restoring the Uchiha clan. I don't want to just be not that it's a bad thing. I'd do anything to make him happy. But am I? She can't seem to say the words, and Sarada takes pity on her. Are you going to be happy too? Sakura bites her lip again and nods, looking away. It's not hard to extrapolate what she's really asking because there's only ever been one thing that could make her truly happy. You want to know if he really loves you, Sarada realizes. Sakura blushes and doesn't meet her gaze. Sarada considers how to answer this. The short answer is, of course, yes. But the Sasuke of this time is such a distant figure that she understands why Sakura is so uneasy, or why she might not believe the truth. I'd really like to meet whoever made Papa so emotionally messed up, so I can set them on fire. There's this look you two get, Sarada says out loud, visualizing it even as she speaks. You might be right in the middle of a conversation, or doing laundry, or just walking past each other in the house, and it's like the whole world disappears and you're just existing together. Sakura is holding her breath, staring with wide eyes. Sarada shrugs with her good shoulder. I'm not sure how else to describe it. But it's way more awkward to walk in on you doing that than walking in on you doing other things. Sakura squeaks in embarrassment, and possibly delight. Anyway, Uncle Naruto complains about it all the time, too. He says you've been doing that since you guys were genin. I haven't seen it happen in this time, because, like I said, your Sasuke's a big jerk. Sarada grins at the mock glare Sakura sends her, but Uncle Naruto doesn't lie. Sakura hugs her arms to herself, looking supremely pleased. Oh, yeah, thanks, you're welcome. A pause. Are there others? I mean, do you have any brothers or sisters? No. It's just me. Oh, what? Nothing. No. You have something face. It's just, I always imagined I'd have at least two, Sakura admits. A boy and a girl. Maybe more, but I always wanted two. Sarada digests this. You never said anything like that. Oh, I don't mean that. I'm sure we're totally happy just having you because you're seriously amazing. It's only, no, it's not that. I just never thought about it before, that you guys would have wanted more. Sarada ponders the situation. If her father hadn't left on his mission, is it possible she would have had a brother or sister? Growing up, it's something she always wanted, but never mentioned, because she suspected it would make her mother sad. But there are so few Uchiha, she says finally. I would have thought he'd want more too, if only two. An idea occurs to Sarada. Is what he said before true? What do you mean? Did his brother really? Sakura's face goes pale in the firelight, and she looks away. No one really knows exactly what happened that night, she whispers uncertainly, like they shouldn't be talking about this. Only Sasuke knows for sure, and no one's ever asked him. Or, well, if they have, he probably didn't answer them. All anyone's ever said is that, one night, the Uchiha were all dead. And Sasuke was the only one left. She shifts uncomfortably. And he really hates his brother. I have no idea if it's because, well, if it's the truth or not, but when it comes to him, Sasuke just stops thinking. And last time, it nearly got him killed. What do you mean? Sakura hesitates. I'm not sure if I should. Tell me. Itachi put him under a genjutsu, Sakura explains. He used some kind of evolved Sharingan technique to do it, maybe the one you mentioned before. Sasuke was in a coma for weeks. If Naruto and Master Jiraiya hadn't been around, or if they hadn't brought back Lady Tsunade. She swallows heavily, not wanting to entertain the possible outcome. Sarada can't help being utterly confused at this. If what Sakura says is true, why is it on the rare occasions where her father speaks of Itachi, he does so with a kind of reverence? That doesn't make sense. Why would he do that to his own brother? Why would he do that to his own clan? I don't know. Well, there's got to be a reason, Sarada protests, getting upset. You don't do something like that to people you care about. There has to be something else going on. I wish I could tell you, but I really have no idea, Sakura tells her apologetically. And if he didn't tell you about it, I'm sure he had a reason, Sarada scowls. There's always a reason with her father, and usually, it's an official reason. It's the only time he's ever distant toward her or her mother. No one can be as tight-lipped as an Uchiha. Apparently, that's a genetic quirk I didn't inherit. I guess, she sighs. Probably related to some kind of secret mission. She groans. He will be so disappointed with me when I get home. I put my team in danger, blabbed confidential information, got separated from my squad. None of that was your fault, though. It's not like he's ever had to deal with spontaneously teleporting ninjas, or time travel bubbles, Sakura points out. Confusion passes over her features. Although, I guess technically now he has. You're not helping. Sorry. I wish someone could clear up all of this so it made sense. Sarada complains. That is something I would appreciate, as well, a quiet voice says from several feet away. Both girls whip around, instinctively moving into defensive positions at the sudden appearance of another person near their campfire. It's yet another failing on Sarada's part, not even noticing that they were being watched, let alone approached. However, When she sets eyes on their uninvited guest, her gut tells her that even if she had been in peak condition, she would have difficulty sensing this man. Red eyes stare down at them, distantly appraising. In the moonlight, it's easy to make out the rest of his features, and shock overtakes her because this man might as well be her father, except his hair is much longer and, to her knowledge, her father has never worn nail polish. Chapter 15. Both Sarada and Sakura realize who the newcomer is at the same time, but their reactions are vastly different. Sarada is intrigued, almost awed. This man standing before them is her uncle, an individual that is more myth than reality to her. Curiosity and confusion overwhelm her, marring her training and better judgment. Her first impression of him was true. He looks uncannily like her father. His hair is longer though, and his cheekbones more defined. The rest of his features are somehow more delicate, almost feminine. Even his frame is different, shorter than her father, more lithe than wiry, like a dancer. If the stories of his exploits are true, that would make him fast as well as lethal. The delicate appearance is probably something that many an opponent has misjudged. On top of all that, he exudes a bewildering mixture of frailty and power Sarada can't decide if she is drawn to or terrified of. Sakura has no such indecision. The palpable fear in her body language reminds Sarada of the harsh truth of their circumstances. If Itachi Uchiha is alive, then he is from the past. Whatever the means by which he came to be here, in his timeline he is a dangerous criminal, not one of the many names chiseled into the memorial stone in Konoha's cemetery. He has not yet carried out whatever action will redeem him, and he is certainly not the hero her father says he is. She needs to be careful. Based on your expressions, you both know who I am, he says, voice somber and mild. Different again from Sarada's father, who at any age speaks with a hard edge of certainty and arrogance. I've seen you before. Itachi's eyes rest on Sakura, who is pale-faced and shaking, eyes firmly planted on the floor. Surprise and confusion cross her features, but he doesn't qualify the statement, instead turning his gaze to Sarada. But you're a stranger, it would seem. He says nothing more, but the tomo in his Sharingan spin in calculation. Keep your eyes on his feet, Sakura whispers to Sarada, voice shaking. If you look at him, he'll catch you in a genjutsu. Sarada instantly looks away, shame bubbling up inside her, as she realizes what an elementary mistake she just made. Even if she can help it, trying to study the man she feels she's supposed to know but doesn't, it's not excuse to forget her training. It's interesting that a young girl would be familiar with the abilities of a Sharingan, rare as it is, Itachi remarks. You look like you're barely past Chunin level. Although there is no derision in his words, Sakura blushes in embarrassment. Even if she hadn't caught a brief look at him before her senses caught up with her, she would be caught off guard by his words. To her, his voice is far too like Sasuke's, and she has become conditioned to feel flustered when praised or criticized by an Uchiha. If I had wanted to use a genjutsu, there have been ample opportunities to do so, he continues. Neither of you pose any risk to me, given your respective physical limitations. Again, he doesn't need to elaborate. His eyes linger on Sarada's injury and Sakura's shivering form. She is still weak from her healing attempts. On top of that, both girls are crouched in their underthings, their tools and weapons out of reach, staring down one of the most dangerous shinobi in Konoha's history, and we're sitting around in our underwear. Because this day couldn't get any worse. However, Itachi continues, if it brings you some small comfort. Sarada chances a quick peek, and watches his eyes fade to black. They are the exact shade of Sarada's father's eye. She swallows a painful lump in her throat. Itachi's apparent act of good faith doesn't stop Sakura from stepping forward, placing herself in between him and Sarada. Even if I didn't read about you, I'd know who you are, Sakura tells him, defiant and angry despite her fear. I might not know exactly what happened in the past because he won't tell anyone, but I will never forgive you for what you did to Sasuke in Shakuba town. Without looking directly at him, it's hard to tell if his expression changes, but Sakura imagines his mouth twitching somehow. Ah, the other teammate. Now it makes sense. And you? Once again, he addresses Sarada. Before she can answer, Sakura hurriedly speaks up. It doesn't matter who she is. And it doesn't matter who I am. We don't have anything to do with you, so you should just go. All the while, she tries wordlessly to communicate with Sarada that she needs to leave. We weren't looking for you. We don't care that you're out here. I'm sure you've got stuff you're supposed to be doing, and we definitely do, so we can just go our separate ways, right? We won't tell anyone we saw you. Her hands are shaking and there's a catch in her voice despite how hard she is trying to sound firm. She might have no idea how they're going to get out of this latest spot of trouble, but one thing she does know for sure is that she has to protect Sarada. If this man discovers who she is to Sakura, and more specifically who she is to Sasuke, well, he killed his entire clan, right? It stands to reason that if he were to discover that Sarada is the future of that clan, he wouldn't think twice, and it's only a matter of time before he figures it out. All he needs to do is really look at her. It took Sasuke barely hours, and that only because he is so utterly focused on his own goals that he doesn't register things happening around him. But Itachi is in full possession of his mental faculties, homicidal, mass-murdering tendencies aside, and renowned for being quick. He made NBU captain at 13, if the stories are to be believed. If this man looks too closely, he will figure it out, and that's something Sakura can't allow. What makes you think begging me to do something will sway my decision one way or another? Itachi questions. I am an enemy, after all. Then why are you so close to Konoha? Sarada wants to know. You have to have been in the area for a while, or else you couldn't be here right now. Which means, stop talking. Sakura hisses, frustrated that Sarada is unknowingly working against her. He's dangerous, but Sarada can't help herself. Once more, she is caught in Itachi's gaze. His eyes are deep and fathomless, unreadable if it weren't for her own strong eyesight. In them she can see careful control, a depth of intelligence, and something else utterly unnameable, and for some reason the slightest squint to his eyes, as if he needs to concentrate to see. The minute strain there is similar to what she does when she goes without her glasses. Is there something wrong with his eyes? Itachi frowns at Sarada, still trying to place her face but failing. Hey! Sakura demands, once more forcing his attention back to her. I'm the one talking to you, not her. What are you doing here anyway? Itachi reluctantly turns away from Sarada, but she doesn't think for a second that he has forgotten her presence. The set in his jaw is too much like her father's. He is working something out even as he looks to Sakura. His mouth tugs slightly upward in a slow, wry twist. My partner and I are on business, he tells her. From the slightly amused note, it's obvious he is humoring her rather than folding to her non-existent interrogation tactics. He's somewhere around outside the bubble. Yes, I did notice it, he adds, noting Sakura's surprised expression, even before I heard you speaking about spontaneous teleporting ninjas and time travel bubbles. Sakura and Sarada glance at one another. They wonder what else he has heard. The Sharingan can see the layers of dimensions with ease, and this entire area is riddled with dimensional overlap. So what, you just walked into a dimensional bubble? Sakura asks. Isn't that kind of, counterproductive to whatever it is you're doing out here? Itachi is grim. There are very few shinobi in this world with the ability to create such a dimensional distortion. All of those I know of are either dead, or on the other side of the continent. This phenomenon is much bigger than any I have ever seen and growing. If it continues, it will likely consume the entire country, then the world. That does me no good. So you're here to investigate too? Sakura muses. Well, then you don't need two random strangers holding you back while you look, so why is it you are so determined that I ignore your comrade? Itachi asks her, making her freeze up. If you are part of a protection detail, your ability to deflect attention needs work. If your charge was a target, any ninja would know just based on your behavior. I'm not. It's just, you're an S-class criminal. Sakura insists. I would want to protect anyone from you. You are lying, he tells her calmly. Even now your intuition tells you to flee, yet you stay. Aside from my brother, it's rare for someone so young to be so intent on throwing their life away. His eyes narrow. But then, even the strongest shinobi lose their good sense when it comes to family. Sakura's heart stutters. I can tell by looking at you, Itachi goes on, taking a step forward then another. Both Sarada and Sakura begin to back away. Your eyes are the same shape, as are your faces. There's obvious resemblance. One would think a younger cousin if it weren't for. He trails off, abruptly fixing Sarada in with a more pointed gaze, the way your eyes narrow when you frown. Sarada's eyes widen. That's not possible, Itachi says, more to himself than to her. He takes another step forward, and then abruptly commands, face me. The directive is completely unexpected, and for a moment both Sakura and Sarada wonder if they heard right. Do as I say. Trust me when I say it's the simplest option. If you touch her, I will kill you, Sakura promises, venom-lacing words that are much braver than she feels. Such an intent doesn't come naturally to you, Itachi comments. You believe her more important than your own life? Or is it someone else she is precious to? Sakura's heart stutters. He's figured it out. Sarada, run now, she orders, eyes flitting to her weapons. All she needs is a second. She hasn't even taken a step before Itachi has moved forward, holding her off the ground by the throat with one hand. The other allows a kunai to slide from his robe, and he throws it effortlessly, almost lazily, behind him, knocking away the log Sakura was about to use in substitution. Girl, he addresses Sarada, still utterly calm despite Sakura clutching desperately at his hand. I have no need to make idle threats. Whatever Sarada imagined about meeting her uncle, in dreams or the vague scenarios she entertained since time suddenly made his existence possible, this is far from it. This man before her is terrifying, more so, in a way, than the alien creatures that attacked and almost killed the 7th Hokage, and he wants her to face him. Sakura makes a choking noise now. Tears of frustration, fear and somehow, betrayal gather in Sarada's eyes as she wills herself to stare up into the face of death. It's horribly stiff, but it's all she can manage, too panicked by the sight of her mother battling ineffectually at the fingers cutting off her oxygen. She must succeed though, because Itachi stares at her mouth for a moment, and then lets out a quiet, stunned exhalation. His grasp lessens and Sakura falls back to her feet, gasping desperately for air. For the first time since he appeared, Itachi appears genuinely surprised. Sakura struggles to her feet, massaging her throat. She fully intends to grab Sarada and make a run for it, Itachi's skill and speed be damned, except he has recovered himself, head whipping around to stare straight at her. His eyes blaze, and the tomos spin into a new shape. She barely has a chance to note the sudden change in design, like a three-bladed wheel, and she crumples forward. No! Sarada screams, diving towards Sakura and catching her before she hits the ground. She glares up at Itachi, her own Sharingan raging to the surface. What did you do? I have merely confirmed a theory, he says, though he sounds less neutral now. There's a catch in his voice that borders on uncertain. You are an Uchiha, and you needed me to make a face to discover that? Sarada snaps. What kind of a sick, twisted creep are you? That was not the intention. I had simply forgotten the shape of my mother's smile. She has no idea what to say to that, because for the briefest flicker of time she imagines she sees pain in this man. Just a moment, however, because then he looms over her, and how could she have thought he was delicate-looking before, eyes simmering with renewed fury. Explain yourself? You resemble this girl, and yet you resemble my parents. My brother. This should be impossible. All of the Uchiha are dead, because you killed them, Sarada whispers. It's not a question, but she awaits the confirmation. Even in this moment, even now she can't quite believe it. Yes, he says. And depending on your next words, you may be joining their number. The world goes cold, but not in the same way as falling unconscious. The night sky bleeds away, inverting until it turns red as blood, dark clouds surrounding a scarlet moon. Itachi's pale face becomes nothing but shadows, and the world around her alters until the trees and river are nothing but stylized versions of themselves. There's no escaping this place, Itachi tells her, and so you may as well tell me what I wish to know. The world that Sarada finds herself in is utterly devoid of sensation. She hears no ambient noises, cannot feel the movement of air on her skin or pick up any generic sense. The sky is red and the ground black, stretching on for miles. Sarada is vaguely aware that she is not alone here, that Itachi Uchiha lingers only footsteps away from her, observing her with that same blank, controlled expression. She has barely made this observation when she finds herself surrounded. Not by enemies, however, but by her. All around her she sees doppelgangers of herself, in various states of activity. Every duplicate Sarada appears utterly solid, not just a flickering image, and interacts with other solid figures. Her parents, her friends, people she's only ever seen in passing around the village. Everyone is recognizable, however all are cast in an eerie black light. One version of herself shows off her katan to her father. Another Sarada stands with her mother, watching Uncle Naruto become Hokage. Not just her experiences she has had, her memories, and whenever she notices them, she finds herself reliving them in painfully realistic detail. Old joys and old hurts, both mental and physical, rear up and clutch at her heart as if they are really happening all over again. Mama lies pale and bedridden, while Aunt Shizen tries to comfort Sarada. Sarada watches herself cower in front of her father as he brandishes a katana, his Sharingan spinning threateningly. Is that you, Sarada? A week after the Chunin exam, Sarada leans over and notices that Boruto's eyes are much bluer than his father's. Stop it! Sarada yells, her stomach flipping with anger and embarrassment and a little fear. Tears leak from her eyes because these are personal moments, memories of times past, and she is experiencing them all over again, all at once. The discomfort will pass, Itachi remarks. Mind reading is not a skill I possess. Observing you re-experience your memories is the only way I can obtain the information I need. I assure you I am being as delicate as possible. Try asking first. She snarls. There are even scenes playing out which she has forgotten or is incapable of remembering on her own. On the first day at the academy, no one will speak to young Sarada. She's an Uchiha, the only child of an infamous clan, the daughter of a man considered a hero and traitor all at once. The other children avoid her, whisper when they think she can't hear. Chocho or Kimichi doesn't care what other people think and sits beside her, offers her chips and just starts talking. A toddler Sarada holds tight to the hands of her parents, taking tentative steps forward. Whenever she stumbles, 2 firm grasps keep her upright. As an infant, she is terrified and cold and surprised, staring up at a red-headed woman that looks even more perplexed to be holding her in her hands. In the background, an exhausted mama rests against a sterile cot while Papa mops her drenched forehead. Sarada feels nauseous and vulnerable, more so over this than the distant knowledge that in the outside world she's sitting around in her underwear. The lack of sensation around her is suffocating and the constant shadow of Itachi makes her want to claw out of her own skin. "Get out of my head!" Sarada screams, clutching her hands to her temples. She scrunches her eyes shut to make the images stop. For a wonder, they do, and abruptly all is silence again. "Sarada," Itachi murmurs, a disbelieving catch in his throat. Even if he suspected before, even if he knew, it appears he still didn't expect to be proven right. "You are Sasuke's child." Shaking, Sarada lifts her head to glare at him. When she meets his gaze, there's no danger now, she's already trapped in this genjutsu world. It is as if she is looking at a different person. For the first time since he stepped out of the darkness, his face is filled with emotion, sadness, hope, and she doesn't care. "How dare you," she hisses. "Who the hell do you think you are, rifling though all my private moments like that?" She takes a step forward. "Is this what you do? Put people here, in this place, and make them relive their memories? Is this what you did to my father in Shakuba town?" "It was necessary," Itachi tells her, and though the words are bland, she hears the apology there. Each syllable rings with a heaviness, a breathless plea, and she can't help thinking she's not the intended recipient of this. "If circumstances were different, I would never dream of bringing you to this place, but it's the only way to communicate without being overheard." "Overheard by who?" Sarada demands, not allowing herself to be swayed by his apology. "We're in the middle of nowhere, and you knocked you knocked Sakura unconscious. She will be fine," Itachi dismisses, eyes closing for a moment as if in focus. "I didn't put her under my Tsukuyumi, so she will break herself out of it soon enough." There might be a note of approval there, but he speaks so softly it's hard to tell. "It's prudent to always assume that someone is watching. While it is highly unlikely any of my associates are in this area, there are those who excel at eavesdropping. For your sake, as well as mine, I can't risk them noticing anything out of the ordinary. I'm pretty sure if they're your associates, they'll figure out you're doing something. Especially if you're just standing over the bodies of 2 girls in their underwear like a big creep." He either doesn't register the insult or doesn't care. "In this world I can slow the perception of time. It might be hours or days, but outside only seconds will pass. Anyone who might be watching us will simply see an effortless incapacitation of 2 injured genin. Then why go through the trouble? Because the situation is more serious than I imagined, and requires more time to solve than you have on the outside." "No! Not that! Why go through the trouble of talking to me? You already know something is going on here. You could have just knocked Sakura and me out, and then kept going to figure things out. You didn't need to bring me here, or look at my memories." A momentary lapse, Itachi dismisses, one we shouldn't waste time dwelling on. "Don't give me that crap, Shinaro!" Sarada yells. "I want a straight answer from you for once, and you haven't given me anything so far. They said you killed the Uchiha clan, you even said so, but my father talks about you like you're some kind of hero. What the hell is up with that?" He looks pained. "You cannot tell me this." "I cannot know. Why would he do that, huh? If you killed our entire clan? There's got to be something else going on here, and I need to know what it is." Itachi's voice is tense. "If my brother did not see fit to tell you these things, I won't do him the disservice of doing so behind his back. It is a conversation meant to be had between a father and his child. But there are also things I cannot tell you because I do not have the answers. Your father is a very different man from the brother I left behind. And if he has chosen to..." Itachi stops talking then, and swallows, abruptly overcome. It takes a second to recover and replace the carefully neutral expression. "The more we discuss the past, the more tempting it becomes to change things. And they cannot change. Why not? She cries. Why can't this whole thing just be a sign that maybe some things need to be changed? Because of who you are, Sarada. Itachi's eyes soften fractionally. Because of what you represent. Sarada's anger is abruptly overshadowed by confusion. What? You are the epitome of everything I have ever fought for. The reason I continue the path I have chosen. Everything I have done, it has been for the future of Konoha and my brother's well-being. But you killed our family. How could that? How could you ever think it was for his well-being? She chokes. Itachi's expression remains composed, but she imagines a flicker of pain in his eyes. Fate is not always so kind as to provide an easy path, he tells her. Seeing you, I know the price I paid is worth it. We will leave it at that. I will not risk interfering now, where I might change something that results in you not existing. How can you say that? You don't even know me. Yeah, okay, I'm your niece, but that might as well just be a word to you. You've never even imagined I might exist one day. How can you care so strongly about it one way or another? That is a question your father will have to answer. We have more important matters to discuss. Screw that. You just said time is slower here, so you're going to make time. Sarada orders him. I have questions, and you're going to answer me, Uncle Itachi? The man who looks so much like her father practically jumps at being addressed like this. Terrifying eyes fix on Sarada as though he has never seen anything or anyone quite like her. Then he sighs, and something about his shoulders relaxes. His Sharingan fade. You are so like him. Sarada experiences a flicker of warmth at the words. It's not the first time she's been compared to her father, but to hear it from Itachi Uchiha sends a little thrill through her despite her fear. Her uncle considers her a moment longer, and then reaches toward her. She flinches, until she sees he brandishes no weapons. Real or not, illusionary weapons can cause horrible wounds to the psyche, and motions with the downturned palm that she ought to come closer. Sarada squints at him several seconds longer, suspicious, and then cautiously inches forward. After all, if he wanted to hurt her, it isn't as if distance will stop him. She is barely within arm's length, when she feels a sharp poke to the center of her forehead. It feels like she's been hit by a bolt of lightning where his fingers touch. Immediately, all around her and Itachi, memory duplicates of Sarada appear. Mama beams, eyes shining, and leans forward, tapping her fingers just below Sarada's hairline. I'll tell you next time. Don't make that face, Papa says, pulling away from Sarada. He is smiling at her, but his eyes are filled with regret. He doesn't want to leave again. He reaches for her forehead and lightly brushes his fingers there. I'll see you next time. Except, it's not just images of Sarada. In the distance, behind the images of herself, she sees two others' dark shapes. Ouch! A young Sasuke complains, as Itachi flicks his fingers against his forehead and says, Forgive me, Sasuke, another time. Another small version of Sasuke glares up at his brother, wincing as Itachi murmurs, Sorry, Sasuke. Maybe another time. Still farther, she sees another image, different than the others somehow. A small boy, Itachi, holds a crying baby. Don't cry, Sasuke. Your big brother's here to protect you. No matter what happens, the infant's cries taper off, and he stares up at Itachi's face. A tiny finger reaches out, poking at Itachi's forehead, making the older boy smile. That's... Sarada whispers, reflexively pressing a hand to her own forehead as realizations dawn. It's only a matter of time before you are reunited with Sasuke, Itachi tells her, content to ignore the barrage of images around them. The one from my timeline. It is imperative that I be nowhere nearby when that happens. Because he wants to kill you, Sarada says. Itachi inclines his head but doesn't answer directly. Instead, he says, it is simply too soon for us to meet again. Sarada makes a face. I didn't think there was anyone in the world who could be as evasive as my father. I guess you're who he gets it from, and I suppose he's the one you get your stubbornness from. No, that's from my mother, Sarada counters with false bravado. And if you think you're going to get away with not answering my questions just by making little comments about my parents or grandparents, then you're seriously underestimating me. Because I can't exactly care about people I was never given the chance to meet, can I? Itachi's mouth thins. It's a low blow, but Sarada needs him to know that even with what he's shown her, she hasn't forgiven him. Whatever he does in the future, whatever he does that her father chooses to leverage against his murder of their family, she hasn't learned of it yet. And she can't judge if it excuses him or not. Itachi Uchiha might be a great man, he might care about her father and, inexplicably, her as well. He might inspire feelings of terror and curiosity, and the fervent need to know where she comes from. but by his own words he is still a murderer, and it isn't her place to pardon him. It's best she keeps her emotions in check, at least for now, and treats him simply as a skilled ninja with whom she has found herself working. And then after they save the world, maybe she can try to reconcile the notorious killer with the man who said she has her grandmother's smile and taps her forehead the same way her parents do when they want to tell her without words how much she means to them. Very well, Itachi says, straightening up. Since you don't want me seeing your memories, explain how you came to be here and what you know of the time distortion. Sarada squares her shoulders and adopts the concise yet comprehensive tone she uses when undergoing mission debriefs with her team. Boruto is always screwing that up with his stupid comments, but she knows the value of sticking to the relevant facts. Or at least she did before today. As she relays the day's events to Itachi, she is torn between wanting to show off her skill at conveying information to her uncle, and guilt because technically she is interacting with someone who, during his time period, is a notorious criminal, a murderer. Sometimes she can't help hesitate about what to say and what not to. Only when Itachi gives a small shake of his head, an indication to skip something or to move her explanation along, does she begin to figure out what kind of information he wants to avoid. Mostly it's things to do with her father. It bothers her, makes her a little angry, even, especially considering what she knows he's done. How the hell is he so easily able to divide his feelings for his own family from whatever mission he is on? On the one hand, she wishes she had that ability, to be clear-headed enough not to give in to her emotions or speak of things she shouldn't, but at the same time, to know that ability comes at the cost of being allowed to feel? She doesn't ever want to have to put aside her love for her family for something or someone else. She imagines it would feel like being turned to stone. Throughout her story about the teleporter and encountering her parents' future selves, Itachi is quiet. When he finally speaks, it is with a thoughtful note which suggests he is working out the problem simultaneously in his head. I have limited understanding of space-time jutsu, he admits to Sarada. But I know enough to make an educated guess about what may be happening. In the past, some members of the Uchiha clan were able to traverse dimensions. Like my father, like the future version of my brother, Itachi agrees, his mouth doing that thing again where he looks like he might want to smile but doesn't. Based on theory, and the few incidents I have seen myself, every dimensional portal, whether in time or in space, has to have an epicenter, like ripples in a lake. There has to be something that disturbs the surface. Itachi seems pleased by the comparison. Exactly. Once the epicenter of the disturbance is located, it's easier to interrupt the cause of that disturbance. Removing it should return reality to its previous state. Should? There are no certainties, of course. Sarada doesn't like that possibility and chooses not to dwell on it. What could even have caused this whole thing to begin with? Time travel requires one of two things, either a lot of chakra, or a specific Kekkei Genkai ability. Neither option is highly likely at this juncture. Why not? First of all, I can count on one hand the amount of locations where a person could find the amount of chakra needed to travel through time, Itachi says. The closest place is the kingdom of Rorin. That's in Wind Country. Yes. Beneath the heart of the main city, there is a ley line that could potentially grant access to a reportedly infinite chakra. However, it has been sealed for almost 20 years, and only blood heirs to the kingdom can open it. And even if one of them was forced to do that, it's still too far away, Sarada reasons. The time bubble would have started in Rorin, and not so close to Konoha. Yes, but couldn't someone with huge chakra reserves do it? You mean a Jinchuriki? Like your father's shorter, more foolish teammate. Hey! That's the 7th Hokage and you'd better show him some respect. Sarada snaps. This time Itachi's mouth definitely quirks in amusement. I see. My apologies. She can't tell if he's being serious or sarcastic. To answer your question, if such a person could manage to call up that power, unless they have a genetic disposition to time travel, the effort would kill them. The human body can only withstand so much strain, even the body of a Jinchuriki. Something dark passes over his face now, as if he is remembering something he would rather forget. Then it's the other option, Sarada decides, knowing better than to comment on it. Someone with a bloodline ability had to do this. That's also impossible. Huh? Sarada wasn't expecting this. Why? Because any bloodline abilities like that are extinct, like the first Hokage's Mokutan? Sarada asks. That's no longer an extinct ability. When I was with ANBU, an individual known to me as Tenzo was able to use it. You mean Captain Yamato, right? I heard Kakashi call him that once. He helped rebuild our house that time Mom accidentally knocked it down. There's a slight lift to Itachi's eyebrow, but he doesn't remark on that. Instead, he says, Tenzo was one of Orochimaru's test subjects, as I recall. A different case than the man you said attacked you, I think. Orochimaru altered cells from the body of the first Hokage, whose body he had access to. He wouldn't have had access to anyone with a time travel ability, or even the dormant ability to develop a time travel ability. How do you know? Because anyone who could have unlocked such an ability is long dead, and their remains destroyed. Yeah, but how do you know that? Itachi levels a meaningful stare at her, and a second later, the answer hits her. You mean, Uchiha? Yes. Sarada shakes her head, struggling to comprehend this. So there were Uchiha who could travel in time, too? Is that so much more unbelievable than those who can cross spatial dimensions? Her uncle challenges her. Well, no. But my father never mentioned anything like that. He would not know, Itachi asserts. It is information passed on only to members of the Uchiha clan who awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. But Papa has that. He did not have it before the destruction of the clan, Itachi says shortly. And I suspect I am not alive in the future to relay the information personally. Noting Sarada's surprise, he continues, the only way you can exist is if I am dead in the future. Sasuke would not be so quick to restore the clan if he thought it were in danger. It is left unsaid that her father considered Itachi just such a danger. Sarada can't understand the older Uchiha's utter acceptance of this fact. She doesn't think she would ever understand this man, even if she had been given the chance to grow up with him around. So this time travel ability, she ventures, how exactly did it work? And why was it so secret? There is an evolved Sharingan technique known as Izanagi, Itachi tells her. She has never heard of this before, and so he elaborates, it is an old ability which permits one to change illusion to reality. When wielded to maximum effect, a Sharingan using Izanagi can go back several moments in time and change the outcome of an unfavorable situation. Sarada's eyes widen. No way, it is only possible to manipulate that time for seconds, but the technique itself can be reused over and over in different subsequent timelines. In the past, the Uchiha used it to such excess that a countermeasure was developed, Izanami. Then we can use that to stop the time bubble. Sarada exclaims in relief. I never said that what is causing the temporal phenomenon is Izanagi. Itachi warns her with a shake of the head, which makes her shoulders sag. But I do believe it is the next progression of it. And if it is, it means Izanami would be powerless against it. His tone tells her what a monumentally bad thing that would be.